Steps up, drives the ball, and it is intercepted. J.T. Woods again. That is his second of the night.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Cryer from the corner, and it rattles home.
Wow, what a KO, baby.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Oh, look at that block. Float on.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Here's Luke Altmaier. First down. And he's taken down. And it's Terrell Bernard. And he has 15 and a half career sacks now.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Tuesday afternoon, and we've got to be on our best behavior. One of the owners is in the studio today, Ashley Hodge. It must be a men's basketball game, so we have to be. And I immediately dropped a word that I should never have dropped, Paul. You didn't give me any indication that he was in the neighborhood, but that's fine with me. All right, Baylor tonight, number 1 ranked men's basketball team at home against Oklahoma. R.J. Sneed, wide receiver at Baylor, has entered the transfer portal. That's interesting. Although this year his numbers were better than any of the years he's had, but it didn't seem that way. Paul, did it seem that way? Craig, you brought this up, but it just seemed like he just was not entrenched.
Well, there were games where he kind of just wasn't a part of it. I don't know if that was his fault or the quarterbacking or whatever, but there were some games he had really nice games. But, if I'm him, I kind of maybe want to find a place where I might be more of a featured player in the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by this. He was a good player. He made some solid catches for Baylor over the years. There was definitely some moments where, the offense could not find any footing whatsoever, especially looking back at last year or even years prior. Not so much this year. And he was like one of the only guys you could rely on to kind of consistently move the chains for you. Although, not consistently to the point of where he ever broke out as really your star wide receiver, but he was certainly more of a sure thing than some others were at times. But he was never the number one guy. I think Tyquan Thornton took over that mantle without question this year. But RJ was good. He made some big plays over the years. He was a big part of that original Matt Rule recruiting class back in 2017 that you see now is part of the Sugar Bowl and Big 12 championship. He was one of, the guys like Treston Ebner and Abram Smith, and the list goes on and on. J.T. Woods, Christian Morgan. Commend him for what he did in green and gold, but not surprised in the slightest that he's headed somewhere else. He's got 1 year of eligibility remaining, so he's got the choice of go to the NFL or quit football or play college one more year. I don't think his NFL prospects are great, at least right now. And I'm not sure he would be drafted. I think he'd probably be like an undrafted free agent guy, most likely. I don't think he wants to quit playing, obviously. So here we are. He's in the transfer portal. And like I said, I'm not surprised by that, but I would think, Texas Tech will probably give him a long look because of Joey McGuire, and I'm sure that, he had Ole Miss. He was a commit to Ole Miss at one point in time. I don't know that they'd be interested now, but, he was obviously talented enough to get those types of looks a few years ago. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, but he was a great Baylor Bear. Did all he could for the team, and, good luck to him.
Had some spectacular catches along the way, but last year he was probably their best receiver. Again, there weren't many passes completed. It wasn't like there was an air raid type offense or anything, but he's pretty consistent. 42, 39, 46 catches his last 3 years. His highest was this year, 573, 8 touchdowns in his 4 years at Baylor. Didn't play much.
5 years.
In his 5 years. Didn't play much 1 year. But so that's that. Also, nothing new, of course, on Caleb Williams, Oklahoma's star quarterback who entered the transfer portal. Dillon Gabriel, former UCF quarterback, though. It didn't take long. He was committed to UCLA and changed his mind and now headed to Norman. Would that then to you mean that's the end for sure of the Caleb Williams because Gabriel got some sort of indication?
Well, yeah. I don't know why if you're Dillon Gabriel and you have eligibility remaining, you're going to go to a place and compete with Caleb Williams. Now, my top 5 is on Caleb Williams, and spoiler alert, number 3 is one of his best options is to return to OU, but I put it at 3 because now I'm less likely to believe that's going to happen if Dillon Gabriel's going there, because Brent Venables and Jeff Lebby in particular, who Dillon Gabriel played for at UCF, have probably told him, well, here's how this is going to go.
I agree.
I don't think it necessarily is 100% certain that he's gone, but I think it's probably 80% certain that he's gone. I think he's a security policy, if anything. If you're Oklahoma, you need more than one quarterback anyways, and you're not just going to get, let's go get a backup type guy to be a backup. No, you want to get the best players that you can, so if Dillon Gabriel's interested, then yeah, bring him on board, especially if you don't know what Caleb Williams is going to do just yet. Now, I would think at this point, they probably have some indication of where he's leaning, but I don't think it rules out a return. I'm not expecting it, though. I was talking with the OU relative of mine, and she was very he can still come back, and I'm like, I know, I don't expect him to. I just don't at this point, but he's going to take his time, however much time that's going to take, and we'll see what Caleb Williams ultimately decides. But you could do a lot worse than getting Dillon Gabriel, that's for sure. He really lit it up with Jeff Lebby at UCF, so there's your connection right there. Now that Lebby's the OC. And, they've got a better quarterback room today than they had yesterday. But, of course, the big domino is the one we're going to wait on, and that's going to be the thing that tells the whole tale for Oklahoma heading into next year. But, yeah, that's a big loss for UCLA. That was the thing that that was a pickup they were excited about. And got to feel like they got robbed, in the middle of the night, so to speak, by Oklahoma with Dillon Gabriel making that sudden switch.
Abram Smith has done what everyone thought he would do, declared to play in the NFL after a record-breaking single-season record at Baylor for rushing after the story of how David Wetzel and others suggested to Jeff Grimes and then Dave Aranda, if you're looking for a running back, did you ever see Abram Smith play the game? And, of course, he had an amazing game. Even in the Sugar Bowl, it was kind of sluggish at first and then popped a bunch of big runs. Had a huge run on a third down conversion late in the game, but I think it was the one that put him up 14-7. I'm not sure. Maybe it was the one that didn't matter. He was physical. He was exactly what Jeff Grimes was looking for when he comes to the offset of Treston Ebner. There's going to be some players that will get at least looks, and obviously combine and maybe the All-Star game. Some of that's already out, and eventually perhaps drafted in April as well.
Yeah, I would imagine he's going to get drafted. I don't know exactly where that will be, but no surprise. And there's others Kalen Barnes has made it known, but I already kind of knew 8 names based on their All-Star invites. Abram Smith had already accepted an invite to the Reese's Senior Bowl, so I guess it's just kind of the official goodbye that, you're entering the NFL draft. But, he, Bernard, and Petrie are expected to play in that game. Barnes, Ebner, Xavier Newman-Johnson, who also announced that he's done, but he was out of eligibility, so he didn't have much of a choice. And Tyquan Thornton are all listed for the Shrine game, and then J.T. Woods in the NFLPA game. So expecting all those guys to move on, playing all-star games, and all of them to have a crack, if not get drafted. I'd say 3, 4, 5 of those guys, if not potentially more, could get drafted out of that group. So, Yeah, good for Abram Smith. I mean, he could not have left any better than what he did outside of, winning a national title. But, I mean, my gosh, this was as good as it gets outside of that.
I think for sure draft picks on this team are Petrie, Bernard, JT Woods, Abram Smith. I mean, those guys are for sure. Tyquan Thornton. Wide receivers are hard to peg. You may think he's great, and then because there's so many different types and guys and body styles, it just you can kind of get caught up in it. I do think he has a future in professional football. Treston Ebner is someone who I think is an NFL player. I don't think he's an NFL player at running back necessarily. I think that he's kind of somebody that you can do different things with, and but again, I don't know if he's going to be somebody who's drafted because he's what is he in the NFL? He's going to have to come with the right coach. But the first four guys I mentioned are for sure going to get drafted. And, kind of the benefit for Abram Smith is the wide zone offense is making a return in college, and it's making a comeback in the NFL as well. It didn't ever really go away, but it was less popular for a little bit. And he's shown that he's the perfect running back for this system. And there's a team that I know for sure will probably like him because they like to have running backs, and they have the guy that kind of runs the wide zone and grew up in it, and Kyle Shanahan.
There's a lot of work and some conversation and opinions on the chat room as well. Good afternoon from Paula, Biscuits and Gravy, picking up Yaki for pregame. David, Paul, and Craig, if you haven't tried it, it's good.
I have. It's quite good. Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yaki, yeah.
Okay.
What is it?
It's
it's Asian?
Yes, it's Asian fusion rice with some kind of protein in it.
Scotty B, not shocked about Abram Smith. No one should be. SP, if Caleb believes he is my hero, OU legend came off the bench and put a hurt on the Shorthorns. Rattler Tweety Bird wasn't OU material. Well, neither one of them are now, it looks like, with the Rattler at South Carolina and Caleb Williams moving on. It brings me to this right here. And I'm not going to get into specifics, but I am amazed how quickly fans, and I understand it. I understand it's usually social media and message boards, but I am amazed how quickly players, our fans, just drop grease on players when they leave. Whether it's because they're no longer productive or they transfer, it's really, really, I even saw a lot of hate on Gary Bohannon. It was a thread about Gary Bohannon's salt in Sikkim 365, and I understand he was not very good in that game. He wasn't. But they wouldn't be in that game had it not been the first 7, 8 weeks, 9 weeks with Gary Bohannon. They wouldn't be in that game either without Blake Shapen coming in and doing what he did. But it's like all of a sudden there was some like, oh, my God, let's move on. Stop. That's your opinion, I guess.
Everybody wants their quarterback to be Tim Tebow, to be the personification of everything that you'd ever want. And when they're not, people get mad. People want them they want them to have the guy who's the number one pick. Well, there's only one of those guys all the time. And you got to take the good with the bad with everybody, even those guys who are really, really good. And I don't understand, you have to look at the whole field of things. That's why I always say I'm not a glass half full or half empty person. Like, what's the whole situation? I know there's a glass. Let's talk about the glass. Let's not talk about what's good and bad necessarily if it's negative or bad. What's the reality of it? So what's the reality of Gary Bohannon? Not a great passer, really good runner, really solid leader on the team, was able to win some games for them. They made things work for him. But obviously when it comes to being a diversely offensive talented quarterback, he's not. He's got limitations.
Yeah, he has limitations. He's not exactly what you would want. Doesn't mean you go and just trash the dude. I don't understand that. And I don't know, there was for some reason, I guess it was maybe a Baylor coach in another sport had brought up a former coach's name in Matt Rule, and that led to a bunch of people just bashing the hell out of him. And, there's still obviously some open wounds for some, or some bad feelings about him leaving a couple years ago.
Most of those are the same ones that had open wounds from the beginning.
No, I know, but it's like all the stuff that's going on that's good, and you want to turn around and bash the quarterback who helped you get here. You want to bash the coach that provided a lot of the players that made the plays for you to get here. I don't know why you're looking for the negatives or looking to pile on to people who ultimately provided positive contributions and not negative contributions. That's just me, though. People are going to do what they're going to do. But, Gary Bohannon, he's got some things to work on. And I don't know if he's the guy that you pencil in as a starter next year at quarterback. A lot's going to be determined by Blake Shapen's injury. Like, how long is it going to take him to get right? It could take months. It could take Grayson was talking about the specific shoulder injury he has. It's kept guys on the shelf for like a year, before they're completely 100% again. So that remains to be seen, but he's been a valuable member of this team, and he's just going to keep grinding away, and I'm sure shut out the outside noise, but I don't see any reason why to bash. I mean, just enjoy the positives that are going on right now.
Caleb Williams is gone. This from Mike West. They knew he was gone when he entered the portal. It's the father making the decisions anyway, and the staff was tired of being held hostage for money. And I'm not an OU insider. I've seen a little bit of that as well, and B Uncharted, another Caleb Williams text, and we can discuss both of them. Going to Georgia would be insane. Head to USC unless you want to lose draft stock like JT Daniels.
Well, I mean, JT Daniels was hurt most of the year, so I don't know if that one has anything to do with the other, or a good chunk of it. I do think that Caleb Williams, wherever he goes, is going to make NIL money. That's just about getting yourself out. He's one of the best players in the country. He could go to Boston College and make NIL money. He's going to make NIL money. Now, there's only a couple places that you could even see it maximizing more than Oklahoma. And if you're the quarterback of Oklahoma, you're going to make NIL money. That's
how much does the at least rumors of what Quinn Ewers is making now almost become like coaches who get hired? They want what's the next best thing. How much now will that create an interesting little situation when it comes to quarterbacks? And he's getting $3 million, or he's getting $1.5 million, or he's getting 2 or 3 new cars. We haven't thought about that.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure it does. I mean, and look, if you're a quarterback of that caliber, look, Quinn Ewers has done diddly poo as it comes to being a college football player. Caleb Williams has had several of the best games I've ever seen a guy play. Especially in the situation against Texas, where it's like, all right, kid, go win this sucker, and he did it. And so all of that, like, he's got more value to me in the open market as far as an endorser and somebody with NIL than Quinn Ewers would. So he'd be foolish not to investigate it. The thing is, to me, I don't think this is about NIL, because he'll get it wherever he goes. This is about wanting to play for a certain coach or a certain place that's probably not Oklahoma now.
Yeah, I think NIL probably comes into play, but I think it's just like the cherry on top of whatever he decides. Because like y'all said, I mean, he's going to get it regardless wherever he is, and I don't think much changes, just the scenery and the team he's on. If he does go somewhere, which I do expect him to. I mean, I know that he said he just entered the transfer portal just to be able to legally have conversations, but I don't know. I think it's kind of a sign that that's probably the direction that they're headed. And then, the Gabriel news following that, it does make you think, well, maybe they have a feel for what's going on here. But yeah, I think NIL plays a role, but is not the leading role. I think it would be stupid on his part to have that be the driving factor. But then again, if you're somebody who's seen $4 million dangled in front of you, and depending on where you came from and how you were raised and, your situation personally, I mean, they may be too good to pass up if all things are equal, the extra $1 million or $2 million here. But I don't know. I just wouldn't want to be a program that's this early or really ever getting involved in multi-million-dollar bidding wars under NIL, for a certain player. I don't know about all that.
I do think
isn't that how free agency works?
It is. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it technically, but I'm just saying I would not want to be really a fan of a program that, and I guess I am because Caleb Williams, but I don't know about getting invested in multi-million-dollar bidding wars for prospects.
Although, and the reason I say that is because it's not like if Caleb Williams was the quarterback at Kansas State, a Power 5 school, that your NIL options are probably a little bit more limited because you are, a middle tier, school that has some good seasons, but you're not a historically rich program like Oklahoma. But he's at Oklahoma. Like, did Oklahoma, I mean, they lose 2 games and all of a sudden we forget that they're one of the blue blood, like the actual, like not fake blue bloods or like temporary members or
even new members.
New members. They are dyed in the wool, generational blue blood college football.
Yeah.
That's money.
It's back and forth in the chat room, and that's just some of what's going on, and a lot of people with opinions. Keith Posey had a question. First of all, he was excited for Abram Smith, who helped his draft stock. J.T. Woods probably did more, Baylor safety, for his draft stock in that last game than anyone. So fast, instinctive, an absolute ball hawk, and we did bring him up yesterday. Yes, he is an absolute ball hawk, and he actually had a 3rd turnover that was, of course, overruled because of instant replay.
Yeah, I didn't even catch the real replay. I mean, did he Was that a legit call or not?
I think he had 1 foot down. He had the ball tucked, but I do think I could see why and felt like from the beginning that they would overturn the call, and they did.
It's almost as if he should have let him take one more step before had the receiver taken one more step before JT hit him.
He had the ball. He had secured the ball, but 1 foot was down and not a second. And, of course, I'm not a rules expert, so who knows?
Well, that first corral pick, or the only corral pick, I guess, I mean, that was, there's 5 DBs standing back there, and he leapt up and grabbed it, and that ended their drive. And then,
first drive, too, right?
Yeah, the first drive, second play. And then, later on, obviously – picked off Altmaier on a great play where he just came out of nowhere, really. Altmaier didn't see him whatsoever, and he burst in front of the ball and snagged it. And should have, could have had a third turnover as well, technically. But JT Woods is the type of guy where they interview him. I mean, first of all, he's got the measurements, he's got the speed, he's got the ball hawking ability. He's played a lot of football. He loves football. And he's also incredibly intelligent as well. I mean, book smart. So he's going to go. He's got a very bright future in front of him. There's no doubt.
All right. Also, Mike West, who I mentioned earlier, Be Uncharted mentioned something about the Caleb Williams story. I think they kind of just terrible fans. The kid just won a big game for Oklahoma. He doesn't deserve this criticism, whatever. This is from Mike West. That's not true. Oklahoma fans wish him the best. We are moving on. This sort of thing is going to happen more frequently as time goes on. Everyone should get used to it. All right, real quickly, our guest lineup today includes John Hoover. He covers Oklahoma. His thoughts, he is on the Sports Animal in Tulsa, also writes for SISooners.com. He's going to join us to give us just kind of the what's going on in Norman with the Caleb Williams decision, the arrival of Dillon Gabriel. Mac Rhodes of Baylor AD at 4:20. Seth Greenberg, ESPN national analyst on the game day set, will join us today at 4:45. Craig's Off the Radar, John McClain, and Paul Catalina's Top 5 as well. Now, one other note. Armstrong, I sent you an email with a graphic of Jackson player, and I know that you don't check your email, but there should be an email in there with a graphic. Former high school player who played his ball at Midway High School in Waco. Here are his final 5, at least, again, he's being re-recruited. TCU, he has a former Tulsa coach there. The defensive coordinator is now at TCU. Arkansas, former defensive line coach at Tulsa is at Arkansas. Baylor, he's from Waco. I know he was on contact with Baylor even on Friday. Oklahoma, they watched him in their backyard. Never played against Tulsa during that time, and sometimes they have, but not recently, not when he was there. They watched him, and Oklahoma State has played Tulsa for 3 consecutive years. They understand Jackson player. So I would think that decision will come out sometime, I'd say within a week, if not sooner.
Leave that graphic up for a second, Armstrong. So look at that offer list right there. TCU, Baylor, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Oklahoma State. His offers coming out of Midway High School, where he was too short to play big-time college football, was Tulsa, where he eventually went. Air Force, Central Arkansas, Houston Baptist, Incarnate Word, ULM, UMass, New Mexico State, North Texas. None of those 5. I mean, it could go on SFA, UTSA.
This is an example of stars, height, and personnel judgment.
No, this is also an example of the benefit of the transfer portal.
Yeah. For our viewers, too, we did Jackson's high school games at Midway. Midway's a 6A high school. That's the biggest classification here in Texas. So this is not a guy who was at a 3A or a 4A high school that just kind of got overlooked because sometimes you can be the best player on the field in the 3A and 4A high school, and you wouldn't ever be offered by any of these schools just because that's the nature of the beast. But he's at a 6A high school, and every single game we saw him play the entire time he was at Midway, not just his last year, the entire time at Midway, he was the best player on the field.
Well, he was also, he's disruptive. He was very good, and he played, of course, at Midway when Tanner Mordecai was there. So there's the connection as well to SMU, who was thought to be on the list, but this is he just released his top 5. And I've said from the beginning, TCU, Arkansas, Baylor, and Oklahoma. And I said Arkansas, those 3. And then Oklahoma. I know that Jackson sent me a text a couple of nights ago that he had that Oklahoma gave him a pretty good angle of what they wanted. So there's the 5 right there. And he'll probably make a decision within now and this time next
going
week.
To play. I mean, you could go play for Brent Venables, a guy who's been, look at the defensive lineman that Brent Venables has put in the NFL in the last few years.
I do know this. He's very intrigued. Sometimes guys don't want to come back. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they leave to get away from home, and sometimes those who are in the transfer portal come back closer to home. And again, there's no statistic or trend with that. He can flat out play football.
Well, here's the cold hard truth too: is just because Baylor's interested doesn't mean that they're all in and like boom or bust for Jackson Player. They got other guys that they're on too that might even be a bigger priority. So we'll see how it works out, but it's got to work out for both of them. And if it doesn't work out, look, he's got 4 other schools that would be great. And if he doesn't go to Baylor, then Baylor's got other guys that they like just as much, in some cases maybe even more, that they feel good about. So, yeah, I mean, it would be cool if it worked out that way and you had a little Waco reunion. But if not, good on him for having this opportunity and for everybody bagging on the transfer portal. I mean, this is an example of a kid who was under-recruited because of his size, and now you look at who's offering him. He was too short to play in big-time college football, but now he's got an SEC offer. So, what does that tell you? It's about just the player ultimately, and he's a good one. Last name, no pun intended or anything, but
yeah,
he's legit.
He's a baller. Yeah. And one other note about him, Baylor does have their eyes on a couple of other big defensive linemen in the portal. One who is a former teammate of Siaka Ika from when he was playing high school ball in Utah. So there are some options. 6 foot 290, fits 3'4", 4'3". He can play. He can freaking play football. We'll see what happens. Good luck to him. Wherever he goes, he's going to end up in a nice school either way.
Well, another note from the Big 12 in the transfer portal, true freshman wide receiver Mario Williams from Oklahoma is in the transfer portal now.
I don't remember who said this, but I did see it, and I just look up. There's some 3,000 players. 3,000 players are going to be in the transfer portal. That's kind of the guesstimate before it's all said and done. And here's the deal. It's January 4th. Some schools don't go back into session. Baylor starts in 2 weeks. Some start late next week. So in the next 2.5 weeks or so, how in the hell are those players going to find homes? Because there's not many homes out there. There aren't that many schools looking for 3,000 players, even though on average each school's losing between 10 and 12. On average, 10 and 12 transfers each year or for this year.
Well, a lot of them are going to find homes or they're going to go down a level. Some of them will be like a Jackson Player and take a big step up, and good on those that do. I think some people are making probably a really smart decision and some are probably not making very good decisions. And the thing about it is you're talking about the next 2.5 weeks. I mean, shoot, we got the next 2.5 the next 4 weeks until National Signing Day number 2. After that happens, more coaches are going to leave their current programs because that always occurs, and that will lead to more change. And then you'll have spring ball, and there will be more entries before and after spring ball. So that number is only going to grow, and even as guys leave it, there will be far more that enter over the next 3-4 months, and we're not anywhere close to being done with the portal and the activity going on. So, yeah, I mean, if you're fortunate to find a home quickly and you're wanted like that, that's great. But for others, I mean, there's only going to be more names going in, so best of luck to those who made that choice.
Yep, and there was a player from Dangerfield. There's a couple of them that have committed. One of them, Rogers, who's a hell of a player. Jakevian Rogers, who's committed to Baylor, defensive back. The other is teammate Aaron Hampton, who committed, I think right after he did. He has now opened up his commitment. It is a part of the cycle of everything in college football. All right, 3:27. Our first guest isn't until 4. Got a couple of other notes again. Baylor in Oklahoma tonight at the Farrell Center. Otherwise, Ashley Hodge would not be in Waco. Am I right? Is there any doubt about that? Unless he's coming by, I don't know why. Must be a game at the Farrell Center. But we ran your audio, by the way, with Scott in the little interview, 2.5-minute interview on our pregame show on Saturday.
Would you randomly pop into Waco on a Tuesday afternoon if you didn't have a reason to?
No,
I don't think so.
So he's here, and we'll have coverage of that. We're going to hear a couple more notes from yesterday's interview with Scott Drew as well. John Hoover on Caleb Williams, Oklahoma, Dillon, Gabriel, and much more. But here we go. Let's open up the lines, Paul and Armstrong, 254-339-1122. 254-339-1122. Your thoughts about the transfer portal, college football in general, and how much can it take as such an incredibly popular game? I'm sure it's going to be just fine. This is Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
The
This month, it's all about the championship drive as our hometown team celebrates the Big 12 championship and a Sugar Bowl win. So can you in your new vehicle from Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Waco. During the Start Something New sales event, shop for power, performance, and reliability from our selection of the new 2021 Ram 1500 Lone Star. Are you planning your next adventure? Choose from a range of Jeep models, including the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Take home the trophy from Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Call us on the Bet US hotline, 254-339-1122.
JG Neolardo, I'm shocked how much compensation, attention is being given to kids, student athletes these days. This is a millennial making a get off my lawn statement, unapologetically. AD's responding to Caleb. Wow. From Jason. College didn't suck when none of these players made money. Limiting it to seniors would encourage kids to become seniors, which is a goal of the college in the first place, which is part of usually, like, hey, you can have money, but you got to get to your senior year to get it.
Maybe had they come up with that idea,
Like, instead of sticking their head in the sand?
15 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, now legally they can't do anything about it. I mean, they can't say anybody can't earn money. I mean, it's free market. And, like you said, Paul, they had, decades to figure out something. And in particular, the last 10 to 15 years, knowing this was coming down the tracks, and they just sat there.
The other thing is they lost the O'Bannon lawsuit. I guarantee you their better attorneys told them early on, you're going to lose this lawsuit because they know how the laws of this country works, and they still didn't do anything about it. They just leaned in and go, listen, we're
pay attorney fees. Jeff Graham, Jason, NIL money is not going to stop a first-round pick cornerback for his senior year. Plus, if you limit it to seniors, you'll get sued for age discrimination. One other note about the NIL, more cowbell. NIL being used in recruiting is the exact reason it was illegal in the first place. Yeah. I agree 100% with the comments. This is from More Cowbell. Something will have to change right now. It has become the Wild West. Just like it was zero, and it just went boom. And they didn't know where to stop it.
And I don't want to continue to point the finger at one school, but I think once Texas did the whole $50,000 for an O-lineman come play here, I mean, that was just like the whole rip off the entire mask and just show it for what it is. And now I don't think anybody's even really trying to hide it or feel like they even need to, because there's no rules. I mean, so long as you don't cross the couple of rules that there are, it's not your school president offering the money from, the coffers of the institution. It's an outside business that may or may not be aligned with the school, but it's the outside business that's, doing the deal and all that. So long as the school signs off on it and everything, then, it's free game. So that's not going back. I mean, we're not going to return to an era where NIL is not a part of the equation. It's just about how you best manage it. And we're seeing all the ugly side of it, but in terms of, free agent offers basically and free agency. And we're seeing the benefit of it as well for plenty of guys, but that doesn't get as much attention. So yeah, it's the mess that we thought it would probably become. And who knows how they'll reel it in, but I think there's probably more coaches than less that feel like there's got to be some sort of curve to this in some type of way. Mac
has mentioned, and even coaches have mentioned, they got to get some sort of their hands around it. Here's a note about Cincinnati, the success they've had with Luke Fickell in the year they had. Jerome Ford, their running back, and cornerback Sauce Gardner applied for the NFL draft. Offensive coordinator Denbrock going to LSU. Special teams coach going to Notre Dame. Those are some of the challenges of it being successful. Nick Saban has to replace half of his staff every year. Coordinators, et cetera, and he just continues to do it. And, when you have success, that starts to happen as well.
Yeah, and he also goes and gets former NFL head coaches and, former Pac-12 head coaches and then turns and rehabs them and then sends them off on their merry way for the best jobs of their lives, basically. But, he's unique in what he's able to pluck from. But certainly that's just a testament to Cincy's success.
Paul. All right, Owen in Virginia, you're on the Bet US caller line. Thank you for your call.
Hey, thank y'all. I was just wondering, with the transfer portal, do you think, it's kind of ridiculous to me that the grown-ups, meaning the NFL, have more rules than college players do. So should there be a not free agency time, a window for the transfer portal where, hey, if you transfer during this window, there are no penalties, but if you transfer outside the window, then you have to sit out a year. Maybe do something from the beginning of bowl season to the late signing day in February. What do y'all's take on where the window should be?
I wish there was. I think though Craig's point about everything is it's too late now. You've just opened it up. So to try to go back is going to be really difficult. Not to say that they couldn't do it and that there's not practical application to do something like that. I just think that it's going to be really hard to do it. I think there should be something to stem some of the tide. I just don't know what that can be anymore, considering they had those rules in place and they're over now.
Well, I don't know the legalities, and so somebody far smarter with a far better, background and education can inform us, but I would think that you can put in some type of enforcement. I mean, the NCAA still has some power to pass rules, and I think that it would be within the the right of the NCAA to have a window of some sort. Now, again, legally, I don't know if that's like something that's off limits or not, but if it's not, then they absolutely need to impose a window of some sort. And we talked to Todd Berry of the AFCA. He discussed that, so I feel like it's on the table. But I definitely think a window would help matters rather than you just randomly wake up in the middle of July and your starting quarterback's announced and he's suddenly going to Tennessee. And you're like, what? And just the fact that it just happens randomly all the time at random dates and events during the season, outside of the season, during spring ball. I think there's got to be some type, just like with recruiting. Recruiting has a window, various windows for a reason.
I was about to bring that up. There's an early signing day, and then there's one in February, and then that's it.
And it's not a hindrance to the player. I mean, the players are getting everything right now. Everything they want, they're getting basically, and that's fine. It's long overdue in some cases, but there also does need to be a balance. It doesn't need to become a players' league, like the NBA or something. There does need to be some security for coaching staffs and programs so that they're not left high and dry because anybody can jump in whenever they want to. I would be all in favor of a window if it's legally possible, and hopefully they're close to getting to work on that because it's overdue now at this point.
Jason Osborne, who's been back and forth on this with others, some have disagreed with him and some have agreed. I didn't say eliminate NIL ultimately. I think it's a good thing. Allowing it to go unregulated is hurting the sport. NIL being abused, the NCAA can adjust to it. Here's a note. I know that the NCAA seems to be powerless unless they just want to every once in a while flex their muscles and remember that, hey, by the way, we're here. They've made some obviously terrible decisions by not making decisions. But everyone is still a part of the NCAA as far as I know now, even with the threat that maybe they'll go off on their own and those 35 or so schools that think they're better than everybody, and maybe they are. But they're still a part of the NCAA, so they can still adjust. The cat's out, you let it out. I mean, the genie's out of the bottle, but can't you still adjust and go, all right, we've let this thing go. We were wrong because we never did anything about it, but now it's out of control. These are the rules, and sorry.
Yeah, well, the problem is they're trying to get Congress to do that for them. And Congress.
Well, no, stop worrying about letting Congress. They got other things they need to be worried about. Stop letting them worry about something that really shouldn't even be on their plate. Let them make the decisions. Their board is former or current ADs, presidents, whatever else, right?
Yeah, they were just herding cats all this time, and now they just said, okay, that's what we can do. You got to try to rein it in somehow. The unregulated anything is bad, unless I be called a liberal or a cuck or something on the.
Who?
That's what they say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, whatever I say, unregulated anything's bad. Liberal, conservative, whatever. Unregulated anything's bad. It's bad. Because eventually you'll have people dumping poison in the water, or you'll just have no rules to anything. We don't have police in this town because, that. So either way, it's bad. You got to, rules are good. Rules are there for something. Too many rules are bad. No rules are also bad.
Rod Webb, Bear Force. Coaches lead teams. I've heard this one. Coaches lead teams high and dry. We've all heard this one. Why should the players have to be different, guys? I understand that argument. You're right. But also, the coaches are paid employees. They are professional, paid. That's their career. Now, playing college football is part of, I guess you could say, it's a career. I'm not trying to say that the players shouldn't get what a lot of them are getting right now. I'm not against that. You get whatever your value is, street value. If a player and a free agent gets $10 million a year and people want it, that's not his fault. But I see the comparison of coaches being able to leave anytime they want, and players should be able to as well.
I don't know. I just have a weird time.
There's something about that still doesn't quite fit with me.
I have a weird time with an 18-year-old being as powerful as Nick Saban when it comes to the choices they can make. Yeah. I mean, I feel like Nick Saban's probably, earned the right or other head coaches have earned the right. I mean, I know there's immediately a point somebody will probably say in the chat room, like, yeah, but I mean, I get it. There's no perfect way, guys, and gals. Let's just say there's no perfect here, and there won't be. There's not going to be a perfect solution. I don't know why some people are so hesitant, although I think that's the minority now, to reward players when they rightfully deserve it. I also don't know why there's so many chaos agents out there who just want to see the world burn with everything that ever happens, And so there's people that are NIL is the greatest thing ever, and they want it to become like the NFL, and they want free agency back and forth, and they want like 17-year-old kids to be able to just on a whim just switch schools overnight, and that's fine. Like, I guess this is where you sit. I don't like it. I don't think they should be powerless, but at the same time, I don't think it should just be no holds barred, can do whatever on a whim whenever. However, I don't know. I just think there should be some security in place. But yes, that's a point that's been brought up ad nauseum, is the coaches can do it, so why can't the players? I guess because they're the coaches and they're not the players is the only real reason for right now. But I don't know. I don't really get behind the let's just watch this thing burn and get totally wacky and wonky. I mean, I know it's already at that point, really, but yeah, I guess that's just your particular taste. It's not mine.
All right, from Bear Force again, from Rod. Okay, guys, so playing a sport, you have less freedom than a regular student. Well, you're getting more than a regular student.
Well, you used to probably have a little less freedom than a regular student before.
Yeah, but now you have students can leave, they can transfer wherever they want. I get it. But they're also now getting so much more, and they're also, even before NIL and the transfer portal, Craig, you brought this up, the amount of swag and the amount of commitment to them, free insurance while they're playing football or whatever sport it might be. I just feel like you can open that up so much. I'm not trying to get off my lawn. I'm trying to say there has to be something there when you're a professional compared to being a student athlete or a student. There, to me, here's the problem. In college sports, you make a commitment. Yes, the coaches are supposedly under contract too, and then they end up and leave. But the coaches are also those who got to that point because of what they did prior to becoming coaches.
Yeah, they earn $4 million a year by being really good coaches and earning that shot. I mean, I guess the players, by being really good high school players, Quinn Ewers earned $4 million a year from Texas. If you want to say that, fine. I mean, it's whatever, your value is whatever somebody wants to pay you. I don't know. I don't care to argue it anymore. Some people want to see, a total free-for-all, and that's fine. I'm not somebody who's going to argue that this person doesn't deserve this, or this cornerback from Ohio State doesn't deserve to be paid $50 million. If that's what some business wants to pay them, if that's what some business wants to do, fine. I don't care at this point. But, there's a free agency window in the NFL. Why should college players have more freedom than NFL players? Well, they're not compensated the same, okay? So we're just going in circles, okay? So you either like it or you don't. You're like me, and you want to see some tweaks to it just so there's some order, or you're rooting for complete chaos because, like I said, like a chaos agent, you just want to see the world burn. And if that's you, great. I mean, at this point, I don't really care. It's just going to go round and round and round, and everybody's already got their feel on how they want it to be, and I don't think everybody's ever going to quite agree on it, but that's what college football set itself up for.
All right, it's 3:46. We'll have John Hoover, who's at a doctor's appointment getting a COVID test, and he's, I don't know if he's in it yet, so we'll see if we'll have him no matter what. Mac Roach today at 4:20 from Biscuits and Gravy. Great opening today, guys. I'm off to get antibiotics to my sick chicken and get ready to go watch the national championship men's basketball team play tonight.
Well, that there were bird antibiotics. All right, good deal.
Well, yeah, sure.
They pump it full of it, but sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know for this.
Well, best of luck to your little chicken there, and that should be fun to watch the Baylor men get their home Big 12 slate started. By the way, I do want to mention for Baylor fans who are premium members of SicEm365.com, and if you are not, then I suggest, especially this, I said this I think a few weeks ago, but this really is a good time as well with the start of a new year, the transfer portal stuff. There's going to be coaching changes, there's going to be stuff behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, NFL draft, all that kind of jazz, but there's going to be some roster decisions, and Colt Barber has a little note on one player, and that's all I'll say, but could be a very key player who looks like they'll be coming back next year at an important position. So, yeah, just a little teaser there for members of Sikkim 365 or Baylor fans who are not. If you're not a Baylor fan, you could probably care less, honestly. You might even not recognize the name.
But you know what, though? There are some threads. There's a lot of them. There's usually about 5 to 8 on the homepage, which might have 15 or 20 threads, depending on how far you scroll down. That are about other programs. things that are jealous of, or things that are, oh my God, you hear what's happening here, or even transfer type of information on the premium section as well.
Sure, but I don't think that most non-Baylor fans are going to even know who this person is, really. I mean, unless they're just big-time college football fans. Point being, there's a note on the premium side, so you can check that out.
From John Kuhn, why not? The student-athletes have been taken advantage of for so long, far too long. It's the other way around, and nobody likes it. From Chris Berkeley, they are worried about players unionizing, and they should be. More cowbell. To John Kuhn, take advantage of how? Which ones? All of them in all sports. And then there's Corona. A student can move from school to school, and the schools can invite them to play on a team while learning and earning, and then he puts the dollar signs with his tongue out. And so here we go. It's again, like Craig said, it's almost a hamster wheel. Either you agree that they should have everything that they want, or you agree that they should be regulated in some way, even if it's just a timeline. Or you wanted, like, they shouldn't get anything. Well, that's too late.
I just want a window. I just want a window. And so just so teams know who's on their team and who's going to be on their team. And I know that's not going to entirely prevent somebody from, bailing for some health reason or whatever, but just some sort of structure. That's all I'm asking for. It's all. I'm not saying don't pay, don't do anything. Applebee's, pay all you want for the random O lineman at Kansas or whatever, but just some type of order, because everything else has a schedule. Why is this the only thing that doesn't?
Here's from more cowbell. I have no problem paying players. If it's regulated in a fair way, it's across the board. However, if they get paid, then they should have to pay for tuition, books, room, and board. And I've seen that up there as well. That would be interesting to try to get that back in the bottle.
Yeah, but they couldn't get a job before. So
no, that was always wrong. I always thought that was wrong. You should be able to work at Domino's or wherever you wanted. From Owen, no, this is not bad either. I will say that I'm annoyed that regular students have to pay out of pocket everything, and most student athletes don't pay a dime and still whine about not making NIL money. Well, they are right now.
Most football and basketball athletes don't, but talk to some of the non-revs and see what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. All right. There's all sorts of great what I love about it is that they're from all over the country. You are back and forth in the chat room, and you can carry on, again, with that yourself as well. We'll see what we have with John Hoover talking Oklahoma, and Caleb Williams and Dillon Gabriel and whatever else as well, and the text line's popping up as well. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Marco's Pizza. Unlimited large 2-topping pizzas, carry out only for $8.99 each. And if you're in the Waco area or wherever you are, there's over 1,000 stores, so there's a Marco's near you. $8.99 each. You can go online, marcos.com, and there's a user code, HOT2GO, and you can order now. Also, $3 off large specialty pizzas. You can order that right now. There's a code, SPECIAL3, unlimited. Medium 1-topping pizzas for $7.99. And, of course, the perfect gift, if you want, is a gift card. Even though the holidays are over, you might have something else to send. For example, I sent a thank you card today to John Sudsbury, who runs the Sugar Bowl Media Relations. Could have just sent him a thank you note. Well, why not put a gift card in there, and so he could go watch or eat at a restaurant or go wherever he wants to do something, because he did some great stuff for us as well. Still cannot believe, of all the booths that were inside the Sugar Bowl, you had Baylor and you had Ole Miss Radio. You had coaches. You had the replay booth. And then ESPN National Radio and Sikkim 365 Radio, we had our own booth, and that's why I brought up John Sudsbury. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Marcos.com.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh-baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
All right, here we go. Wrapping up this 3 o'clock hour. John Hoover, we'll see whether he's available or not, but we continue with what it's going to be said, the chat room on YouTube as well. Some show memo. Whoop, that thing just went boom. Go back to where you are, show memo. I've lost you. Man, there was, Here's from Owen. All this discussion means one thing ultimately. There needs to be someone in charge to oversee either the Wild West of college football or a regulated college football. The NCAA is not up to the challenge. Not anymore. They're not up to the challenge and haven't been for a long, long time. Let's see here. From David View. After scholarships, it was about what program can develop you for your pro career. Where you make the money, it was about what school gives you the best NFL shot. Alan Bishop, the NCAA is not effective. It's like the UN. No one can agree on anything. Nothing gets done. Cowbell, What's more important, education for the 99% of the kids who will never make it pro or the 1% that do? You guys can, let's see here. More, again, they should have just a minor league of sorts. The best players get drafted, paid, and those who can't go to college. Well, that's out the door, too.
See, my whole thing is like not even arguing over the NIL part of this. It's just the window. That's all. I mean, I don't even care about the NIL. Like NIL away. Don't care. Go. I don't care. Like that's fine. It's all worthwhile for these guys. There's gonna be millionaires made who otherwise would never sniff $1,000 in their lifetime. You know, that's all fantastic. It's great that there's some power being put back in the hands of the players. I don't think if you're still arguing NIL or whether it's Valor, it doesn't matter. The law says it is. Like, that argument over. It doesn't matter what you think. The law says NIL is legal and should be, out there and being used as it's being used now, but not quite the way it's being used because we've seen some already bend the rules. And so that's, I think, just for me, the final thing I'll say on NIL is it's not about NIL. It's about the window. It's about the time period, just like with the recruiting calendar. Just have something in place that's like, this is, because like you had guys just in the middle of the year, it's like, I'm entering the transfer portal. It's like, what the hell? Like the middle of the year? And I know coaches left in the middle of the year too. I don't think that should be allowed. I don't. I think there should be some parameters. Quite frankly, I don't think Joey McGuire should have been able to leave with a month left to go recruit for a school in the same conference. I think that's weird, but you can't argue against a player doing it if a coach is doing it too. So it goes both ways. There just needs to be, in my opinion, just some dates. That's all.
With the intersection of NIL and the transfer portal, NIL exists. The transfer portal exists. The problem with the two of them coexisting is that you can get some pretty shady stuff happening if, somebody says, well, if you came to this school and enter the portal right now, we can guarantee you this NIL money, which isn't happening at the school you're at right now. And if you don't have some sort of window on when that can happen, then that stuff can just be constant. It should be constant as opposed to, do it within a window and, here's where the transfer window is. And if it's NIL related, it's NIL related. If it's not, then go. But the fact that it's just every time, all the time.
All right, when do you have to pay your taxes?
On April 15th. April 15th.
Then if you don't do it on April 15th, don't you have a deadline? 15th. Okay. And there's a deadline. And now you can do anything you want in between, but if you fall into the latter category and you don't get it in by October 15th, you start to get fined a little bit. Here's from Eric Nefron. David, you're being obtuse, I hope. College football has been $1 billion business for decades. I'm not arguing with them getting paid. What I'm arguing with is that my concern is, when is this going to stop? There are people on the chat room right now saying that what's going to happen is college football is going to become pro sports, and there's going to be an attendance issue. At least these are from some of the other opinions, because it just gets away from being what is the sport so many people love. I watch it because, one, it's my job, but two, I love college football, and I probably always will, but that's just me. We're now joined by John Hoover, Sports Animal Tulsa, also SISooners.com. With us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Was it the swab? What was the test, John?
It was the gentle swab. She whipped out 2 sticks, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And she goes, did the first one. I'm like, "That's it? You're not gonna jab my brain today?" So quick test. Glad to report no flu, no COVID, just a little cold.
Good.
Ready to roar.
All right. Well, then we'll keep you on the segment because otherwise you can get it over the phone. Now, John, obviously the Caleb Williams story, was this unexpected that it happened? And how quickly was Dillon Gabriel's decision, because now Oklahoma knows that Caleb's not looking at coming back, that he's gone?
Not unexpected at all, Smokey. It was very expected. We had a story ready to go, for when the news broke. So just a matter of time with Caleb, listening to his dad talk. I've exchanged a few text messages and DMs with him. It was something that they've been looking at since Lincoln Riley left, and he wanted to put the 2021 season behind him, academically, get the semester over with, finish his first semester of college, his first year of college. I guess he was here last spring. But he wanted to finish as a student, carry the team through the bowl game, whatever bowl game they were in, and then he was going to start looking at his future. I knew all that. What I didn't know was that Dillon Gabriel was going to transfer to UCLA from UCF and then transfer from UCLA to Oklahoma. He never actually technically transferred to UCLA, so he's eligible to with that 1 year transfer waiver. He's at one-time transfer waiver. He's eligible to play because school started at UCLA apparently today. So never got going in class, never became a student athlete at UCLA. The timing of this thing is all weird because it's like they were communicating or something. It's like that they were in, getting together and exchanging notes or something. It's just really odd, but at least Dillon Gabriel gives Oklahoma a little bit of good news in, I'm not going to say it's a dark time for OU fans. They think the program is headed in the right direction, trending up. What I'm going to say, way I would characterize it is it's heading in a different direction. We have to wait and see if it's the right direction or if it actually is trending up.
John, does Dillon Gabriel completely negate Caleb Williams coming back?
No, I don't think so. I think it's another indicator that he's probably not coming back. But here's the deal. He said, he told Lincoln Riley, hey, when he was still being recruited back in, December of 2019, hey, if you want to offer this Brock Vandegrift kid from Georgia, that's fine with me. I want to come to Oklahoma and play for Lincoln Riley. I'll even walk on to do that. That's been what his dad said. That's been what he talked about. Lincoln Riley talked about it. So we have to believe that that's the case. Everybody has said, all the parties in particular have said that it happened. So if he's going to do that, if he is so bold and so confident in his abilities that he's going to walk on, quote unquote, at Oklahoma. He didn't, of course. Brock Vandegrift went to Georgia, and Lincoln Riley offered the scholarship to Caleb Williams, so that worked out. But if he's bold enough to do that, when Spencer Rattler is returning from an all Big 12 type of season, Cotton Bowl MVP, preseason front runner for the Heisman, all that stuff, he's willing to do that while Spencer Rattler's here. I'm pretty sure he's not afraid of Dillon Gabriel. You know what I mean? He's confident enough that if he thinks Oklahoma is the best place for him, whether Dillon Gabriel's on the roster or not, then he would come back to Oklahoma. If not, I think he would probably leave, obviously, without a second thought. That's the thing about the transfer portal. It doesn't mean you're leaving, but it just means you're thinking about every possible way that you can leave. So that's where Caleb Williams is right now.
John, saw where Mario Williams entered his name into the transfer portal. How many is that, like 50 guys now from Oklahoma that have done so or declared for the NFL draft in like the last 10 days?
It's a lot for sure. They've had, I think, 12 guys either opt out of the bowl game, declare for the draft, or just leave the team with eligibility. One of them, a 3-year starter at safety, is going to go to Stanford. But he's going on a master's degree scholarship. He's going to take that. He was one of the Campbell Award finalists, so he's going to take that money and go to get his second master's degree. So that's something that there's 12 guys total, and then there's guys now that are hitting the transfer portal. There's been 3 on offense, Rattler and Stogner, guys like that. Jaden Hazelwood to Arkansas. And now we're starting to see some more offensive guys, and I think this won't be even close to the last of it. Everybody's getting a win, basically. Mario Williams has said for 2 years that he wanted to catch passes from Caleb Williams, and he couldn't wait to get to Oklahoma to play with Caleb Williams. Caleb hits the transfer portal the very next day, not even 24 hours later. Mario's in the transfer portal. So that shows you right there that the guys are looking around, they're reading the tea leaves, so to speak, seeing which way the wind is blowing. And you're seeing guys jump in the portal. So it's smart business, again, to cover your bases and see what's out there for you, see who, what other schools maybe recruited you out of high school. Maybe they're still interested. Maybe some other people have been impressed. Maybe they're going to put together a nice NIL deal. Who knows? But that's what kids are doing nowadays. They're sticking their name in the portal, jumping in there and seeing what's around, taking a look around, seeing what's out there. And from there, that's where they're going to make their decision from, rather than 100% leaving. Because Oklahoma's already had 2 guys in the transfer portal this offseason that took their name out of the portal and decided to stay. Now, of course, they have the freedom to go back in at any time. Transfer portal has made this a weird sport to cover, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, and we've spent a lot of the first hour, obviously, John, discussing it. And some of us, Craig has mentioned, maybe there needs to at least be a timeline like you have with taxes or with anything else, or
like
national
European
signing
soccer
day.
has a transfer window.
Yeah.
That's all I'm referring to. Is just something similar, just a transfer window.
And like, for example, pretty soon you watch somebody. This is going to happen. I know that there may be a rule against this. What about transferring in the middle of the season and going playing for somebody like Joey McGuire did in football as far as a coach who moves to Texas Tech? He didn't coach them, but he was involved. That's going to be the next thing. Somehow they'll push the envelope again. I'm not against players getting a lot because they got nothing forever and ever, but it just seems like college football, which has always needed a commissioner, needs somebody to maybe save itself.
I think a simple fix would be to apply deadlines like you're talking about with the NFL free agency period, for instance. Or have 2 free agency periods, throughout the year. The transfer portal is open for 3 months here and 3 months there, and it's closed the rest of the time. In other words, you're not constantly shifting, moving, jumping around, making decisions that you're not maybe mature enough in a lot of cases to make. I think a free agency type thing would probably serve college football well, where you have a deadline. It doesn't start until this date, and then you have a deadline until that date. In Oklahoma's case, they got the kid from, not Mansfield, Texas, Lancaster, Texas, the running back out of LSU, Trey Bradford, transferred from LSU to Oklahoma in June, and then in basically August, transferred back. Or maybe it was July and August, halfway through training camp, right before the season opener. Everybody's looking forward to seeing, they've had him in training camp, and they were talking about how fast and explosive and dynamic he is, and all of a sudden he transfers back to LSU. That flies in the face and goes against the spirit of what the transfer portal should be about. And that is new opportunities, not, hey, I wonder what's happening over here. Hey, I wonder what's happening over here. Hey, I think I'll look at this. I think I'll look at that. That's not what the transfer portal should be about.
A lot of attention has been given to Caleb Williams, but they've had other attrition, as Craig mentioned, Rattler and others. But have they gained any of that back with the arrival of Venables and now the new coach that came in from Clemson?
Yeah, the answer to that will be known in the future. I don't think there's any question. We're going to have to wait and see. He's a first-time head coach. I think the perspective from inside the fan base, from in Oklahoma for sure, is that Lincoln Riley's last 2 years were not as good as Lincoln Riley's first 2 years when he had Baker and he had Tyler, right? They made the college football playoff and lost to the national champ or lost to, in the one case, lost to the runner-up to Georgia. Those were really good Oklahoma teams, historically good Oklahoma offenses with, unfortunately for them, historically bad Oklahoma defenses. So there was a thought that Oklahoma was trending better under Alex Grinch and some of the hires that Lincoln Riley made, and they're starting to get a little better, more complete football team. But the last 2 years, guys, they lost 2 back-to-back football games in the regular season for the first time since the John Blake era. And then this year they lose their streak. They don't even go back to the Big 12 championship game. So Oklahoma's been trending the last couple of years a little bit on the downward side. They've hit some, obviously Caleb Williams, Spencer Rattler. They've hit some guys in recruiting, 5-star receivers. But Venables brings in a defensive mindset, a more traditional kind of thinking in terms of, old school football coach. He's a little older than Lincoln. So I think the fan base is pretty convinced that, hey, things are getting better, not worse. Under Lincoln, things were getting worse. Again, I'd like to see that play out. Let's give it 3 years. Let's give it maybe 5 years and see how Brent, what kind of imprint he puts on the program. I know Brent, I've been on this beat long enough that he was still a young coordinator, a co-coordinator when I was started on the beat. So we have a relationship. I've gotten to know him pretty well over the years. I feel confident in saying that I do think, not trying to fall in with the fan base exactly, not in lockstep, I hope, but I do think there's some merit to that. The fact that this program lacked toughness and lacked defensive mindset, lacked, short yardage, get under center, and quarterback sneak for a yard when you need it. Caleb Williams notwithstanding, of course. I just think there's a new kind of grittiness and a toughness to the program under Brent Venables that wasn't here in the past 5 years.
John, what was it like? I know it's been a few days now, but what was it like to see the whole Bob Stoops experience there in the bowl game, the win, passing the cap to Venables in the post game? I mean, he looks like he's loving life. To see his son score a touchdown in a game that he's coaching, I mean, that was just awesome.
It was pretty neat. I got to say, as someone who's covered Bob Stoops almost since day one, since he's been here, it was pretty cool to see him step in and just kind of take, first of all, the day after Lincoln Riley left, right? Beyond being the interim coach and coaching the bowl game and doing all the things you just said, he had to talk to the fan base. He had to talk to the administration, who was a little bit unsure, at that moment. And he certainly had to talk to the players and the recruits. He went on a big, recruiting tour and basically hit everybody that they've talked to in the past year or got commitments from, at least. He was super busy, but he was a calming presence. He was the leader that you would expect a Hall of Fame college football coach to be. And that was something that the fan base really needed. I think if it wasn't for Bob Stoops, I think there would be a little bit more mode of panic right now. Bob has come in and calmed things down and looked around, and a week after Lincoln leaves, he looks at Brent and says, this is your guy. This is your next great coach. He's going to take you into the next century. That gave a lot of assurance to the fan base that everything's going to be okay. And then the 2 weeks that he was coaching the team and the week down in San Antonio where he actually got to be a coach again, I think he had a great time. He was, as we've said several times, he's hawking cigars and tequila, and he's doing TV, for Big Noon Kickoff on Fox. He's living his best life.
John, thank you, man. Appreciate your time. Good luck. I'm glad you tested negative. Now go get some rest and maybe some orange juice or something like that, or something. Something stiffer than that. That might help. Thanks, buddy.
Orange juice, chicken soup, and I've got my COVID certificate. I'm so proud.
There you go. Good for you. All right, that's John Hoover, SISooners.com, and also covers Oklahoma area with the sports animal in Tulsa. There's one note. Kansas State LSU is tonight. There's a bowl game. It's kind of weird. It's like stuck in there tonight. And then, of course, a week from yesterday is the Georgia-Alabama National Championship game. Also, the Baylor women and their game with TCU tomorrow night has been postponed because of a COVID situation. And TCU's had maybe one or two games already that have been canceled, so I'm not sure if it's within the TCU program. It's Baylor. Mac Rose will join us. Baylor was down to a pretty minimal amount of people in their loss to Kansas State, and I think they had one or two out because of COVID protocol.
They only regularly play about 7, so it's not like they're, you get 2 positive tests and you're kind of done.
Yeah, so that's that, and we'll have Mac Rhodes on next to talk about that as well. This is Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
BetUS.com, the 3-decade leader. Use our promo code Sikkim125 and Sikkim200. Sikkim125 for a 125% bonus on cash. Just need to deposit $50 in the account. Or Sikkim200 if you use crypto. You get a 200% bonus on crypto. So remember that. Look, there's college football playoff. There's a bowl game tonight. There's the NFL playoffs coming up. There's the NBA, college basketball, major golf, major auto racing, major UFC events, all coming up in 2022, and they've got action on all of it at BetUS.com. Go there today. $50 opens your account, and you get a 125% bonus with Sikkim125 or 200% bonus with Sikkim200 if you use crypto. BetUS.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness continues to add more weapons to your getting or staying in shape arsenal with 8 brand new treadmills ready for you to run or walk a mile or 2 or 10. And with the explosion of interest in pickleball with instructors Joe Rosa and Jody Thurman with more courts available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with large flat screens stretched across the weight room with Wi-Fi available, their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports. Everywhere you look, there's energy, passion, and commitment. New touchless water fountains outside of each locker room, and all the locker rooms with showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts with a youth academy led by pro Britt Coleman. Fitness and tennis merchandise available and a tanning bed. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Masters of Barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers, and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads, crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer, or order Zach's Spicy Bloody Mary or Coach's margaritas and mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. This is it. This is when you're going to sell something in May. You have Mother's Day. You have Easter. You have things that go on, weddings. But this is a great time for your business.
Exactly. And one other thing we do that a lot of people don't know is we buy jewelry, heirloom pieces, gold, silver bars, gold bullion, watches, anything you may have that you want to. If you don't want to use it and remake something like I did in a state yesterday, and I looked at 35 pieces, well, they're probably going to sell me back 30 because it's something they're not going to wear, nothing to use. So if you're looking to get a few bucks or to sell something or something you just don't wear anymore, I make my wife go through her jewelry box about every 6 to 8 months, and the things that she doesn't wear on a daily basis, this sounds horrible, but I take away from her and then I'll put in my estate counter, but then that gives me the chance to rebuy her something new moving forward. Instead of looking down 20 years down the road and you have 300 pieces of jewelry, it's something to refresh and make her buy something new along the way.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mac Rhodes, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Mac Rhodes, Director of Athletics at Baylor, Sugar Bowl champion, Big 12 champions, men's basketball team tonight at home against Oklahoma, number 1 in the country, and the defending national champions, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. What a day. What a weekend. As a guy that runs the department, I know there's many others involved, and it's a team deal. What was that like for you watching Saturday, the men win at Ames, 2 unbeatens, and then Saturday night, the Sugar Bowl victory?
Yeah, it was certainly a lot of fun. And, you know, you as you're watching, you know, you're so into it. And, and then, the aftermath, you catch your breath and just grateful for the success. As you mentioned, men's basketball going on the road, really, really difficult environment. One of the most difficult environments in the country against an undefeated 12-0 Iowa State team, and being able to win that one. And then, the Sugar Bowl, one of the most, historical, prolific, traditional bowl games in college football all time, and to be able to do that on a national stage platform and win like we did, that was just a really, really special evening. So I would say that January 1 was a really, really good day for the Baylor Bears.
Mac, what does it say about your team? I saw a TikTok that someone sent me of one of your players, putting up when he was leaning on the window of the hotel room, says, when your hotel can see Bourbon Street, but you're at the Sugar Bowl and have to follow the COVID protocols. And it just showed the discipline of, it was funny that he was lamenting not getting to go, but that you got a bunch of guys, a bunch of college kids in, stone's throw of Bourbon Street, and they chose to focus on the game and not the atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that, that whole mantra of being most prepared, least distracted, I think that's been, the mantra the entire year. And it certainly carried through in New Orleans. And you mentioned it, we had a collection of young men that, were playing for one another. And I think when you play for one another, you make sacrifices for each other, and they were on a mission. The opportunity to be the first ever Baylor football team to win 12 games in a season, and I think that meant something to them. And I also think it meant something to them to play an SEC team, a really, really good SEC team, and the opportunity to beat them. And hopefully when the season ends, right, and the final CFP rankings come on out, that they'll be the highest ranked team ever. And so we have great young men on that team, and led by a great staff, and led by a head coach that obviously is a heck of a football coach, and even better person.
Mac, I saw a graphic that the program, all the athletics programs put out, but the GPAs, the record GPAs, nearly across the board. But the football program, you got Big 12 champs, Sugar Bowl champs, most wins in program history, 5 wins over ranked teams, most in history. But then 37 graduates, 15 pursuing grad degrees, 91% GSR, 21 all-academic Big 12, 3.04, so on and so forth. You got 2 student-athletes with master's degrees. I know you talk about, the pillars and the on and the off the field. I know you're proud of winning the Sugar Bowl, but how proud are you with the style of which this team did it both on and off the field?
Yeah, Greg, I appreciate you mentioning all that, because that's what I'm most proud of. And I certainly understand that, winning is absolutely extremely important in the platform it provides. But, all those other things, right? Because that's what's really going to shape and mold and form our young men and really, help project them, after they leave Baylor. And, all of them are going to be successful because of their commitment to all of those other things. And we talk about it all the time. Everything counts. Everything matters. And, I think it's one thing to talk about preparing champions for life and our 4 pillars, but it's another thing to be able to live it. And again, look, we're not perfect. And I think the exciting thing is we still have a lot of opportunity for growth, and we're back at it, and we'll continue to grow and even be better in all of those areas. But really, really proud of our young men off and on the field. And as you know, Coach Aranda talks about the person that you are off the field drives the football player that you are on the field. And I think that our young men have certainly bought into that. And I also thought it was really cool while it's just top of mind while we were on the stage, the podium for the award ceremony, to have all of the football players gathered in front and to chant his name. I think speaks a lot to the respect they have for him as both a person and a coach.
Has he performed in his year or 2 years? Obviously, last year was different, but and I know you've discussed his future many times and excited about it. Has he outperformed what even you thought?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and I don't know that I've thought about it much until you just asked it. And I think if you were to tell me that in his second year we would win a Big 12 championship and beat a program record 5 ranked teams and 12 wins and win the Sugar Bowl, I would say, yeah, that would absolutely exceed expectations. I think where I get really, really excited is there's opportunity for growth for him as a head coach and a leader of our program, and the best part of that is he knows that and understands that, and he will grow, and he'll also demand that the staff does as well, and that's exciting for the football program. I know looking in the mirror, I've got a lot of different areas and ways that I can be better and improve, and the rest of the executive team I know feels the same, and so and I think all of our staff feels that way, and so I continue to believe and we'll always believe that our best days will always be ahead of us, and this has been a really special year, but I still think there's great opportunity out there for all of us.
Mack Rhodes, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Hey, Mac, we were just talking about transfer portal and, NIL and all that kind of stuff. And when in terms of the transfer portal, has there been – I know Todd Berry kind of talked about recruiting calendars a few weeks back, but is there any way to have a sort of window when it comes to the transfer portal? Is that something being discussed, or is it pretty much just going to be what it is right now, period, and you can enter at any time, and that's just the way it goes?
Yeah, I think I think the windows for the transfer portal. I think there's some side conversations going on in terms of maybe coaches, maybe some other athletic directors. I don't know that it's been formally discussed. Certainly hasn't within the football oversight committee. But I will tell you, I'm one that strongly believes that it needs to. We need to have these windows, and I don't think it's 10 windows. I think it's 2 windows, maybe 3 that sync up with the recruiting calendar. And so I'm hopeful that that's a conversation that we can have in 2022. I'm a proponent for it and believe it needs to happen.
I know the basketball game, the women's game with TCU, has been postponed with the COVID situation. It's the first time I believe you guys have had to deal with it in any kind of a way like that this year. And then they're coming off a tough loss to Kansas State on Sunday, where they were obviously low on depth. But it was a disappointing loss nonetheless because it was Kansas State. Where is Nikki right now in trying to kind of get this thing on track, and how much has COVID interrupted it?
Yeah, I think Nikki's in a good place, and she's got a strong belief in how she's trying to build it, and the culture she wants for the program, and I think that's certainly really, really important for year one. Now it's hard, right? it's hard because of all of the comparisons, and quite frankly, you're not going to win the comparison game. You got to be who you are, and stick to that, and know and understand that you're building a foundation. Certainly, Nikki wants to win now, and I think we will win now, but also really looking toward the long term, and building something where we can certainly be a program that competes for national championships or is in that discussion every year like we have been. And I think this first year, Nikki knows that it was going to be difficult, and she's grinding through it, and I think we'll end up in a really, really good place. The COVID piece has been hard. Women's basketball has probably been dealing with it for the last 10 days, and going into Kansas State with the low numbers, and that's not an excuse, but it just changes some dynamics. But we'll get through it, and I think that Nikki's doing a great job. So is her staff, and I'm looking forward to the way and to how she's leading the program.
Mac, I've read 3 different national articles this week about the men's basketball team that all had Baylor is either a bit of a surprise or one of the most surprising teams, because they lost so many veteran players off a national championship team. But are you a little bit surprised that people are still surprised that Baylor is this good?
Yeah, I probably am a little bit surprised. Now, look, I don't know that if you would have asked me, and if I'm being completely candid and honest, that I thought we'd be ranked number 1 going into the new year or right before the new year. I'm not sure I would have said that, but I certainly thought that we had an opportunity to be a top 10 program in the country. And maybe what's a little bit surprising, Paul, is that we've been this good this early in the season. Just you would think that with all of the new faces, logically, that it was going to take maybe some time to gel, but I think that speaks to the culture of the program. And we've got a lot of really, really talented young men on this team, but again, you just see it on the floor that they're playing for each other, and that's hats off and kudos to Coach Drew and the great job that he's doing along with the rest of the staff in terms of that culture, and how hard our young men play, and again, playing for each other. And it starts on the defensive end of the floor for us, and I think we're as good as anybody in the country defensively, and so I think that gives you a chance to certainly win games on the road. So I don't know that I answered your question, but yeah, probably a little bit surprised that people are so surprised that we're this good. I thought we were going to be good.
When Dave Aranda had Gatorade poured on him, did that ever actually touch his body? Or was it like a Jedi ninja move where it never really touched him? And then his focus during that time. Have you seen some of the pictures? You were probably right near him, but did you see that?
I haven't seen many. As you know, I'm not on social media much, and if at all. But I've heard that his facial expression didn't change, and that's just who he is, and I appreciate it. And there's some moments during the game where you're going to see a fist pump and you're going to see him get fired up, but that's who he is, and I think our young men see that, and we've talked about it before. You take on a head coach's personality, the team does, and I think that's why when there's duress, when there's stress, when momentum changes and goes opposite way, our team has been able to really stay and be steady. And there was a moment, there was a moment during the Sugar Bowl that that crowd was felt like a home crowd for Ole Miss, and they started to get some momentum, and our kids didn't flinch. They kept playing hard and kept pounding the rock, and really that's Coach's personality, and certainly grateful for the way he leads.
Didn't flinch like Dave when ice cold Gatorade was poured down his backside, and then he didn't break his gait either.
No,
just kept
walking
same pace.
It's like he clenched his fists because I think that was part of his ability to weather how cold it was.
Yes.
And he just clenched his fist, but he never changed his facial expression and just kept walking. And the players around him were just going nuts. There were some great pictures of him on the podium smiling with not only the players but also with his family as well.
Mac, there were some big plays all throughout the year. I mean, Al Walcott's big pick six in that game. I mean, there were several others, but I was thinking about just the players who played their last game. Terrell Bernard, Xavier Newman-Johnson, Jalen Petrie, J.T. Woods, Abram Smith, who announced today he's going to the NFL. I know a lot of these guys are going to be in all-star games as well, but looking back at the start of the journey for many of them in 2017 or even Arale Tejada in 2016 to the ending that they had on Saturday night, just curious your thoughts on the foundation they helped build or lay and the impact that this particular group of guys who will be moving on had over the last few years.
Yeah, I don't know that we're ever going to be able to measure the impact that they've had. It's been instrumental. It's been foundational. It's been unbelievably impactful. They have been just rock solid. And the post game presser sitting there and Terrell Bernard and Abram Smith were up at the podium, and I just felt like, my thought was I'm going to miss these two, and not because they're great football players. I'm going to miss them because, man, they're just great people, and so those young men, all of them that you mentioned, again, certainly led by words, but more importantly by their actions, and for Terrell Bernard to play, his final college game, 17 tackles and 2 sacks and a pass breakup, and to be the, Sugar Bowl most outstanding player, and so proud of him. And we all know the story of Jalen Petrie and the lone recruit, and and Abram and all of them you just mentioned. I'm gonna miss them, and I know Coach will as well, not because of the football players they are, but because of the people they are. And they really, really, help build that foundation. And it gives us, an opportunity, that culture, that foundation, to continue to be successful. And those are going to be huge, huge shoes to fill on the football field, but also probably more importantly and equally off the field. And but we've got some young men that have been underneath them and have watched them, and I know that they'll be ready to step up and fill their shoes.
I don't think if you ran a 100-meter dash against Monterey Baldwin, how many yards or meters would you need to beat him at 100 meters?
95.
That was a great part of the game as well, that young freshman from Killeen from Shoemaker High School. Mac, thank you very much. Good luck tonight with Oklahoma and Baylor in men's basketball, and thanks for your time.
Appreciate you all. Happy New Year.
You too. Mac Rhodes, Baylor Director of Athletics. When we come back, Seth Greenberg. Man, he was with us a lot last season when Baylor had their march to a national title. He'll be with us a lot this season as well. In fact, he's next on Baylor and men's basketball around the country, Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, got a lot of great deals going on right now over at Richard Carr, and you can take advantage of those deals right now. They have premium pre-owned cars and trucks that have all gone through a 172-point inspection. They also have new models hitting the lot on a daily basis. There's been those supply chain issues. We've talked a lot about that throughout the last few weeks. All across the country, they've been dealing with these problems, but there are slowly but surely cars and trucks arriving back on lots, and Richard Carr wants to get you in one as quickly as possible. So to do so, get your name on their inbound vehicle list right now so you can get a new car or truck as they arrive, whether it's a Buick, a GMC, or Cadillac. Get your name on the inbound vehicle list, and it can be yours quicker. If you need a pickup, check out the Sierra. It's got an all-power for a work site, luxury interior, and drive for a night on the town. If you're in the mode for an SUV, well, Richard Carr has 11 different models to choose from with dozens of different trim options. It's a one-stop shop to find that perfect SUV for your needs, whether it's a fun and nimble Buick Encore or the sophistication and luxury of a Cadillac Escalade. Richard Carr has the SUV you need in all sizes and price ranges. Or if you're looking to drive right away, you need to get into something quick, you can't wait on one of the new models, well, they, as I mentioned earlier, are loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. Their aggressive lenders are ready to get you in a car today, and 100% credit approval is always the goal. So go online or come by for a test drive today. And again, if you're buying new, get your name on that inbound vehicle list. For those in the Waco area, Richard Carr is your local hometown dealership. Give them a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. Richard Carr, owned, operated, and run by loyal and proud Baylor Bears. They look forward to seeing their friends at the dealership or in the stands.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco, is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
The secret to living your best life is pizza, obviously. Golden crust made from scratch, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and the toppings, crispy old world pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, bacon. That's called a dream team. Find everything you need to live your best life and more at Marco's Pizza. Owner Bob Mock has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
All right, Baylor tonight against Oklahoma. Big 12, of course, is Murderer's Row. It's a sledgehammer. Seth Greenberg, ESPN, was with us a lot last year. He was gracious many times. He joins us again now on Sikkim 365 Radio. Thank you, Seth. Appreciate your time. Is Baylor, I don't think there's any question people expected them to be really, really good, but have they even surprised you so far?
Yeah, they surprised me because you're adding pieces, and you never know how, as good as those kids are, as good as Sohan is, as good as Akinjo is, as good as Brown is. Look, they still have to adapt to playing at this level of college basketball. They got to adapt and develop a chemistry. Matt Meyer has a new role. Adam Flagler has a new role, but the identity and the culture remain the same. And I think that's the thing that has been so evident. The identity in how you play and how you're expected to play offensively and defensively. The culture in terms of not getting too high, not getting too low, but getting to the next play and remaining focused. And then I think Scott's done a great job of mixing and matching. When they have kind of struggled a little bit, he's made great adjustments with their team. And then you see some development. You see Sohan develop. You see Kendall Brown in his passing develop. You see Akinjo getting just so much more comfortable in, how they defend, how they, when to be aggressive, when to let the game come to them. So it's been as a coach, it's been a fun thing to watch.
Those 3 factors all coming in and buying into a culture and a chemistry are really hard to accomplish for a coaching staff when you've got a transfer who's been Akinjo's at a couple of different places, and then you've got 2 very highly touted guys who in today's world of basketball, college sometimes for these guys is just something they have to do to get to the next thing. What does it say about Scott Drew and the coaching staff that they've gotten those guys to jump into the culture and embrace it and enjoy it?
I think the first thing is that they really do a good job of selling, what Baylor's all about. And then, if you want to be part of this, this is who you are. This is how you act. This is, what you need to do. Now, Sohan and look, Scott's done a great job of developing players, redshirting guys. Sohan and Kendall are more ready to go. Let's face it. I mean, they're ready to go, but they bought into roles. They bought into playing hard. They bought into being unselfish. They bought into being good teammates. Kendall Brown's passing. We talk about his athleticism. The thing that blows me away is his passing. He is a terrific passer, not a good passer. He's a terrific passer. We know about his athleticism. We know about, him, his length. And then Sohan, he made a play the other day. I did a tape on him the other day where one play, Akinjo rejects the ball screen, he back cuts and gets a lob or kind of a hanging layup, and then the next Flagler drags 2, throws it back to him, and he drives it, spins, keeps his chin on the rim, and finishes. I mean, been really impressive. But then the 2 bigs they are who they are. Flo and JTT just. They only do what they can do, which is rare in college basketball.
Seth, tonight, Baylor at home against Oklahoma, 11-2 Sooners. What have been your thoughts on Porter Moser's squad so far?
Did a great job with them. I mean, you think about the guys that they lost and transferred out. And he kept, obviously Harkless. He kept Emoji Gibson, 2 veteran players, and Jalen Hill's kind of been the X factor because he's playing 4 and he becomes a problem. The guys they brought in have fit. Goldwire, the kid from Duke, is a tough kid who can defend and buys in. And then Tanner Groves is a little bit like Cameron Krautler, who played for him at Loyola. the defense in the Big 12 is the best in the country. Everyone's got their own little twist on it. You play Texas Tech, you play Baylor, you play Texas to some extent. They're going to try to keep you sidelined. Porter Moses is going to keep you in front. He's going to play heel to 3-point line. They're not going to get splits. They'll switch like size. And then offensively, they play with really, really good spacing. But if Tanner Groves can't play, obviously, that creating that matchup at 5 or mismatch at 5 is a problem.
If you look at the Big 12, and they have been, as I think, for 5 or 6, 7 years, based on data, analytics, whatever, the best conference in America, and that's always debatable as well. But are they better now, even better this year than they've been in the past?
Well, I mean, the depth of the league is just ridiculous. I mean, games aren't games, they're events. Kansas is a Final Four team. Obviously Baylor's a Final Four team. Texas is, got maturity to them, which is on their side. Texas Tech defensively is really just relentless. We saw them live at Madison Square Garden against Tennessee. Tennessee couldn't get anything going. The depth of the league, TCU has gotten better. Oklahoma State is kind of the interesting one because I don't like the way they're playing, yet they have they have all those pieces back. Oklahoma's really, really well coached. I mean, you look up and down the league, there are no rocking chair games in the league. Iowa State, they got the right transfers. Brockington gives them a hard-playing wing scorer, and Kalsher gives them a physical defender. And, they get the Tyrese Hunter kid who's the McDonald's All-American. They get Condit back, which is good. Caleb Gill, makes shots. They've got, Enaruma, from Kansas has played well at times. So the league's just the games aren't games, they're events. If you don't play well, you're not winning. That's the way it is.
Do you? What was your thought about what happened with the NCAA ruling in Oklahoma State and Mike Boynton's program?
I always think that, first of all, you should never take away wins the games are played. That's just me. But, a bigger thing is if you find someone that's doing something unethical and you need to hit the school in the pocketbook. So, instead of obviously penalizing those kids, now those kids chose Oklahoma State knowing that there's a chance they could go probation. But I think that, knowing that, those kids were not part of it, I would say slap a $3 million fine on Oklahoma State. Say, clean up your act. This is kind of going to get everyone's attention, and then play on. I think, once you hit these universities in the pocketbook, then all of a sudden I think they'll take a look in the mirror a little bit deeper and say, all right, who am I hiring? And I'm going to hold these coaches accountable. I'm going to put something in their contracts that are going to hold them accountable. Now it's a moot point because, with NIL, basically cheating is legal. It's, it has nothing to do with, these players are basically being bought. That's just the way it is because the return on the investment on, how was the return on the investment for that quarterback at Clemson that had the Dr. Pepper commercial that they couldn't run because they couldn't throw a touchdown? Or how was the return on the investment of the guy that started as the quarterback at Oklahoma and then got beat out? So, look, it is what it is. It's we're in a environment in college athletics where, everyone says it's pros. I don't totally agree it's pros because we've totally lost track of the academic component and the socialization component and all other things. But I'm happy that these kids are getting something. But let's call it what it is. It's just legalized cheating because none of these businesses are really, in basketball, probably aren't getting a return on their investment. That's just the truth. It's I can't see it. Now, you show up at a car dealership, you show up at a restaurant, you sign autographs. I think there's a return. When you start paying half a million, guaranteeing guys hundreds of millions of dollars, I maybe my head's in the sand, but I don't see it. Everyone can't be an influencer. Like people say, well, they're influencers. Well, everyone can't be an influencer because if everyone's an influencer, no one's an influencer.
Exactly. That's a great point. That is a great point. Seth, a game coming up later on tonight. Just curious your thoughts on LSU and Kentucky, top 25 matchup tipping off here in a little over an hour.
I think it'll be a really good game. How Kentucky handles the switching defenses, I should say, of LSU, how they handle the pressure of LSU. how they handled Dale Brown night, which, is real. Every time Kentucky plays, it's some night. It's white out, blue out, green out, yellow out, or someone's getting honored. And then Kentucky. So Kentucky's got to take care of the basketball. There's no doubt about it. And they got to be able to, if they take care of the basketball and set your defense, LSU has a hard time scoring. They're not very good in the half court, but they're also, I think, second or third in the country in turnover percentage defense. They're really long. They're really athletic. And then Xavier Pinson, I think he's really important for LSU. If they can get him in foul trouble, I'm not sure they have a leader, LSU, but really an athletic, hard-playing team. Last year, LSU couldn't guard me. This year, they are built more on the defensive end, extremely, extremely athletic, but I just don't know they can make enough shots. They're not a very good, skilled offensive team.
Seth, last thing. You went from coaching the game for a long time, played the game, and then now you get to discuss the game. It was kind of a dream come true how things have worked out for you on the broadcast career as well?
I've been very fortunate. I don't take for granted one day the opportunity ESPN's given me. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I miss coaching. I miss teaching. I miss competition. But in terms of, it's been 10 years I've been doing this. And I don't take for granted that I work with amazing people. All they want you to do is have a good show. They let me kind of live out my dream in terms of I'm still involved in the game of basketball, something I love tremendously. And I'm very fortunate. And, a lot of people think it's a rite of passage, almost like a high school kid thinks it's a rite of passage to go to the NBA. I don't think it's a rite of passage. I think I'm the luckiest guy in the world that ESPN's given me this platform and that I get a chance to, talk ball because, that's something that I love and I hopefully give a perspective without an agenda because we have too many people that have agendas. My agenda is just the game. The game tells a story. And my opinions outside of the game are basically from 33 years of coaching. So I hope people appreciate it. If they don't, I guess maybe they'll whack me in a couple of years around here. But I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I'm doing.
No, there's a reason why you're doing it, and we appreciate it. Truth serum is what I called it. You're not afraid to say what you see or whatever you think, and that's good without being influenced. Thank you very much, Seth. As always, we appreciate you and hope to get you on again.
All right, guys. Thank you. Enjoy the game.
Yes, sir. Seth Greenberg, ESPN college basketball analyst. ESPN broadcast on game day as well. Baylor tonight against Oklahoma just after the time we close out the show at the Farrell Center. $10 ticket night. There are no students on campus. They're not going to be on campus till January 18th or so. I think Baylor starts to go back to business in about a week. So, again, we just had Derek Tonkin drop in, who does a lot of work with technical work, computer work, etc. He said, I'm going to the game. First time I've been able to go to a game in a couple of years, $10 tickets. He's going to be there. He'll get to watch the game, Baylor at home against Oklahoma. When we come back, Craig Smoak off the radar. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, they sell heavy-duty stuff like product, metal, steel, and pipe. They build things or help you get what you need to build buildings. And they specialize in metal buildings. They'll not only help you how to do it, but also help you with the right type of contacts if you need a contractor to make sure it doesn't get stuck in the mud and the job gets finished. And they're building a brand new location, a brand new facility that's going to allow their distribution service to be even better and allow them to have even more product, to allow them to continue to do what they've done since 1943, and that's just be really good at what they do when it comes to customer service and product, pipe, steel, metal, and much more. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, 2 locations. Waco and Bryan open Saturdays 8 until noon. New location is being built as we speak. PioneerBoys.com.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links, and you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full-service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs, Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome into the 5 o'clock hour, Sikkim 365 Radio. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak, Armstrong, and Jack behind the scenes. Time to take a look at some different stories from around the world of sports. Some of them very much off the radar. Some of them we just might not have time to get to normally. But we can all agree that the college football playoff semifinals were duds, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, both games were just not very entertaining. They were very one-sided, lopsided. Well, we now have the ratings, the TV ratings for the college football playoff. Alabama's win over Cincinnati, according to Austin Karp on Twitter, averaged 16.6 million viewers across the ESPN networks. This marked the least watched semifinal since the 15.7 million that tuned in for Clemson and Oklahoma on New Year's Eve back in 2015. That game was also a 4 p.m. start. There was also the megacast for Georgia and Michigan, obviously, that was later. Got a little bit of a better number, 17.2 million viewers. Least watched semifinal in the late window ever, and the third least watched semifinal ever, beating Alabama-Cincinnati and that 2015 Clemson-Oklahoma game that I also mentioned. Now, some of this debate will be about like the New Year's Day and the slots that they're in and things like that, but ratings down for this year's semifinals.
Well, look, there's several things going here. First and foremost, these television ratings are precisely why we're going to get a 12-team playoff, because if those can give it any kind of uptick, then it's going to be worth it to them in the long run, because a lot of it has to probably do with fatigue, Alabama fatigue for sure, from a lot of fans. A lot of it also has to do with the fact that college football is letting the Rose Parade, and that's exactly what it is, a bleeping parade, dictate when they put their premium games. A parade.
Paul, it's not just a parade.
It is just a parade.
It's the Rose Bowl parade.
It's just a parade.
It's the Rose Bowl parade.
Yeah, the Rose Bowl parade can suck every part of my whatever. I just
what
cannot.
in the holiest of?
Oh yeah. We're on the internet. It's fine. I'm not gonna get fined. I guess that's probably inappropriate, but it's the stupidest thing.
It's probably inappropriate.
Yeah, but. I mean, it's just the stupidest thing that they're letting the parade go.
They are. It is stupid. It's a very popular event. And
I'll never be invited.
I am agreeing.
Double birds to you, Rose Bowl parade.
Yeah, the Rose Bowl always gets so much love, and the atmosphere. And every year, it's like clockwork. It's like in November when you see the articles about why A&M and Texas don't play anymore, and all the memories and everything. It's like every time the Rose Bowl rolls around, we're like, "There's no better setting in college football," and it's like, great, that's fine, but man, it is just so. I don't know. I don't think it's overrated, but I think it kind of is overrated in a way as well in some cases. But it is a cool venue. There's no doubt about that. It's the granddaddy of them all. And yeah, the semifinal ratings this year are a little bit down. And actually looking back at last year, you had this year, the semi, 16.1 for Bama Cincy. Last year, you had 18.9, almost 3 million more for Bama and Notre Dame. 16.5 for Georgia, Michigan. Last year, you had almost 3 million more for Ohio State and Clemson, who had 19.1 million. So that was two healthy numbers, nearly hit 20 in both games last year, but still over 15 million in both games this year. So those are the latest. I tried to find a Sugar Bowl rating, and I couldn't find it. So I was curious to see what the rating might have been for Ole Miss and Baylor, but I was unable to find.
Was there an NFL game Saturday night?
I don't know. I was so busy being at the Sugar Bowl, I don't even know what else was on.
Yeah,
at the time.
the only thing I could think of that would hurt the game, the numbers, would be an NFL game, because no matter who's playing, they just draw big numbers. But I would think that it's the only game on. I would think that it's been a pretty good day with some good games, that it probably leads into that, and hopefully that number. I don't care who was playing, but I think that that game was on the line for a long, long time. You had some drama too.
Yep, and speaking of the Rose Bowl, there was a Rose Bowl many years ago. Texas fans still talk about it as if it was just yesterday, back in 2006, and today the anniversary. That game was January 4th, 2006.
Oh, what do you know? You can play it on a different day.
Texas and USC. Vince Young, the big hero, put his Superman cape on there and ran it in to win a national championship. And I don't know, just thought maybe I know where I was. I was in my buddy Nick's house. We were playing pool in his garage. He had set it up with his pool table in there and just watched in disbelief, the back and forth nature and craziness of that game. What do you guys remember about watching that Rose Bowl?
I was watching it at the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. We had set up a watch party for the Texas X's, and I never felt more out of place in a room in my life. And I was the only person in there who, believe me, not audibly, was cheering for USC. But I still remember it being one of the greatest games ever, and I'm still in awe of what Vince Young did that night. And several moments during the game where you look back and you're like, USC, what are you doing? Like, this is your game, but they just, those things built up, and they just gave They gave Vince Young an inch, and he took a mile, and it was
back and forth. USC had it a little bit early, and Reggie Bush had the crazy lateral fumble. And
God, that was stupid. That was so dumb.
And then on 4th and inches, and it really, to me, on that play, and Lindell White had a huge game for USC. It just seemed to be such a generic, almost fullback dive type of play, and Texas stacked it up. And next thing you know, when that happened, game was over because Vince Young. You just knew those exactly. You just knew it. You had Reggie Bush diving into the end zone. You had Vince Young. Vince Young that night, as much as I love the Tommy Frazier 95 Fiesta Bowl national title, it's the greatest single championship performance I've ever seen.
I'll tell you, so Brian Cushing, who wound up playing for the Texans and he got suspended several times for steroids. I can tell you the exact moment he decided to do steroids. It's when Vince Young threw him away like a napkin that he just wiped his mouth there you go. That's what he did to Brian Cushing. And Brian Cushing's like, I got to go straight Latimer here. Get me a needle.
It was amazing.
That was an incredible game. And the anniversary today, back in January 4th, 2006. So a lot of people reflecting on that game and where they were watching it and all that kind of stuff. Last night, Monday Night Football, Steelers 26, Browns 14. Things are not good in Cleveland right now. And Baker Mayfield is a target of many Browns fans out there. So too is their coaching, especially. But Baker Mayfield's going to have shoulder surgery. He will not play on Sunday. That was announced today. They're getting ready to play a red-hot Bengals squad who's tearing it up right now with the LSU connection. But he is going to have surgery to repair the torn labrum in his non-throwing left shoulder per ESPN. Kevin Stefanski, Browns coach, said could happen as soon as this week, and they expect him to be back in time to participate in OTA. So he's been playing with this pretty much since week 2 of the season. He's had this injury. And Paul, you, Smokey as well. I mean, your thoughts on the Browns right now and now this Baker Mayfield news. I mean, Nick Chubb's their dude.
Got everybody's hopes up because last year they were very good.
Yeah, but in the pros and cons of Baker Mayfield, everybody kind of knows what he is, and you have to run a certain offense to be effective with a guy like Baker. He has been playing with a torn labrum in his left shoulder all year, and you can see how it's affecting him throwing the ball. So a guy who is not particularly pinpoint accurate needs every bit of physicality in him to be there, to have his fundamentals and his footwork and his body work right. Well, he can't pick up his left arm. I mean, how many guys do you see just throw the ball with one arm down and expect it to be any good? He's not be able to balance himself with his arm, so you can see where the ball is sailing on him because he's out of bounds.
What does it say about the backup?
It says that the backup's Case Keenum and Nick Mullins.
I would think that those guys, it's very courageous, whatever the words are, that Baker's trying to run and play. I know a lot of he's polarizing figure. I think it's great. I thought it was kind of courageous. At the same time, you can't tell me, even if it's a backup, someone like Keenum who's played along, I don't care who it is not better because at least they can throw the ball at a certain distance without it being, again, I saw what he has on his shoulder.
And that game last night was kind of both those teams have the same thing. Now, Ben Roethlisberger Ben Roethlisberger's got way more pelts on the wall than Baker Mayfield may ever have. But Ben Roethlisberger right now is a shell of what he was.
Might have been his last game in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, might have been his last game in Pittsburgh. And here's a guy who also physically can't do what he used to do. And it says a lot about Mason Rudolph and that they let Ben come back because they're like, well, we don't know what we're going to do. So that's where you get in these college things or these NFL teams.
Elsewhere in the NFL, Jalen Hurts has sent a public letter to the Washington football team and to the National Football League asking what follow-up action is being considered after you may have seen the video of him walking to the tunnel at Washington Stadium, FedEx Field, and there's some Eagles fans, and they're leaning over the railing right there by the entrance to the tunnelway, and they're trying to get an autograph or a signature, some dap, whatever, and the railing collapses, and a handful of fans just fall onto the field and the opening of the tunnel right there in front of Jalen Hurts in the midst of a sea of people. Thankfully, nobody got hurt, but they bounced up probably, 3 sheets to the wind helped, but bounced up and dusted themselves off and everything was fine. But, man, you talk about a lawsuit waiting to happen. So Jalen Hurts follow-up follow-up action is being considered in response to the near-tragic incident that took place at FedEx Field on January 2nd, 2022. As you're aware, many individuals, including myself, fans, media personnel, were placed in a dangerous situation when portions of the FedEx Field tunnel collapsed. Although I was able to prevent the barrier from crashing, and there's the video right there, onto me, that was not the same for others who could be suffering from lingering injuries, excuse me. He went on, but he basically is just asking, like, yeah, what safeguards are taking place to ensure this doesn't happen? And as we know, for years, FedEx Field has been an absolute just a dump. Yeah. The team's been a dumpster fire, so it's fitting they play in a dump, but that could have gotten really hairy at FedEx Field on Sunday.
Yeah, and they released a statement and said that everyone was treated and everyone left on their own. That doesn't matter. You got to make that right. It's a franchise that has zero room for error, none, because of how they're perceived, because how the ownership is perceived. And when Jalen Hurts, this is scary.
Hey, Dap, okay, there's 5 people just fell right on there.
Remember when Jerry tried to pack too many people into the Super Bowl in Arlington? What happened?
It looked bad. It didn't
they have some kind of bleacher that did something? And you know what? He hadn't had one since.
No.
The best stadium in the world has not hosted a Super Bowl since 2011.
And I promise you, when Jerry saw how they set that up, he was not happy.
Do you understand? He's about a foot to the left
that
from
could have been really
having
bad.
his left leg broken.
Yeah, and then they're going to the playoffs. The Eagles are, and they're gonna have to do it without their quarterback if he doesn't. Just close enough. If he's leaning to the opposite side to dap up the fans on the other that fell, he's in a lot of trouble there.
Oh yeah, if he had been to the left.
Is there a photographer underneath the? Is there a photographer? Jack, watch for a second. Jack.
Watching the video.
Is there a photographer underneath the railing that's sitting?
Don't know.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
It's just bad. By the way, with the Washington football team and other news, they've announced the date for their new team name to be unveiled. February 2nd, the club will unveil the new name and logo for the Washington football team. Jason Wright, team president, did say there are 2 names that it will definitely not be: the Wolves and the Red Wolves, because those are already trademarked by other teams. So they've been the football team since July of 2020, formerly known as the Redskins, of course, and they will let that be known on February the 2nd.
They'll be called the Washington Dumpster
Fires. Yeah, there you go.
The Washington
or the Washington Cluster Blanks.
Yeah, that would work as well.
It's a good thing we didn't get to read the report on this because I'm sure everything was going well.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's going on. Now, this was interesting from SI. The SEC added a withdrawal fee to conference teams, kind of under the radar, very much off the radar. So I guess fitting for this segment. If you're an SEC team looking to leave the conference, I don't know why you would be, and the odds of that are very low. But if you are, until 2021, there was not really an exit fee to leave the SEC. But in light of the events of the last year, the SEC has now quietly come to the agreement and the decision that there will be a substantial exit fee. The new fee starts at $30 million. It will be added with the adoption of updated league bylaws on January 14th. So here in about 10 days, it will become official. If a member of the conference provides written notice to the president and commissioner of the date of its withdrawal at least 2 years prior to the date on which the withdrawal will be effective, they will owe $30 million. A member that withdraws without providing notice of withdrawal shall pay a withdrawal fee of $40 million to the conference immediately upon providing notice of withdrawal. If a member school is deemed to have withdrawn from the SEC by the league commissioner without notice, it will have to pay a fee of $45 million. And this change apparently occurred just a few months after Oklahoma and Texas announced that they would be leaving for the SEC. So just kind of an interesting kind of a...
So this sounds to me like they're trying to keep Oklahoma and Texas from getting in the league and going, whoa, this was scary. Let's go back. Or it's just like, hey, don't get any ideas, Vanderbilt.
Yeah, basically. That's what it sounds like. Either way, I think it plays into both of those. So, yeah, so that's interesting that they've got these new buyouts now. But like I said, it's not as though you expect anybody to want to be leaving anytime soon.
Well, it's something the Big 12 protected itself after they had 4 teams leave. Mm-hmm. They're smart. They're going to get a lot of money, no matter how much it might be when Texas and Oklahoma eventually do. walk out the door, and it's smart to do, especially in this day and age because you never know who's going where.
Yeah, just a couple more stories. We talked before about sports cards. The market went crazy, especially during the pandemic with people scooping up collectibles and things like that. And just that the market's, it's had a renaissance, so to speak. But it's starting to get whittled down as far as companies go. Fanatics has just become a juggernaut. They've, had all these exclusive agreements with basically every professional league now is strictly through Fanatics, and will be having their trading cards through Fanatics. And, there's also Panini, and there's, of course, Topps as well. Topps has been around for a very long time, but now Topps is going to be a member of Fanatics. Fanatics is buying the Topps brand. The company announced on Tuesday $500 million, the range for the price tag of Fanatics acquiring Topps trading cards. With trading cards and collectibles being a significant pillar of our long-term plans to become the leading digital sports platform, we're excited to add a leading trading cards company to build out our business, said Fanatics CEO Michael Rubin. There's approximately 350 Topps employees that will shift over into Fanatics trading card. This was talked about a lot as Fanatics was just kind of mowing everything down in their path, and especially after they picked up the MLB and MLBPA licenses exclusively. So Topps had those for over 60 years, and once they lost baseball, they were basically trying to find anywhere to pivot. They've signed the All Elite Wrestling to a deal just to try to have something, and now they're just going to be absorbed, basically. So the end of an era. Topps will still be around, I'm sure. They'll still have lines and stuff like that, but it won't be the Topps that it was, all these past few decades.
That's just kind of a bummer. I hate to see just corporations absorbing. Mm-hmm. It's not good. It's not good. When there was a joke in the last season of Parks and Recreation, and I think it was like Amazon.com, proud to be one of America's 8 remaining companies.
Yeah, basically.
That's what it is. So, yeah, I don't. I really wish we didn't have the kind of things we do, but I know it's business and how it works.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way things go now. And then tonight we'll have a bowl game coming up at 8 o'clock. It'll be the Texas Bowl down in Houston. LSU 6-6, and with a depth chart that no one would trade for right now, quite frankly, like 50 players on scholarship, and 7-5 K-State. So a big opportunity for Chris Kleiman and the Wildcats against LSU. Right now, Kansas State 7.5-point favorites, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with LSU's roster at the moment. But again, 8 o'clock kickoff of the Texas Bowl. It's the only bowl game tonight. LSU K-State, and those are a few things off the radar.
LSU playing a wide receiver at quarterback tonight.
Yeah.
Who was the team that won their bowl game? He went
Baylor?
9. No. Well, Johnny Jefferson. No, but this year there was a team that started their wide receiver at quarterback, and they won the bowl game.
Oh, that was just a week. Just had it in my head. It was South Carolina.
Might have been.
I think it was South Carolina. Yeah.
When we come back again, Baylor and Oklahoma men's basketball at the Farrell Center. If you are interested in going, you go, I can't go. I don't have to. $10 tickets with the students out for another couple of weeks. Baylor is offering that at the Farrell Center. Tip off a little bit after the time we say goodnight at 6 o'clock. When we come back, and we have covered R.J. Sneed enters the transfer portal. We have covered that the Oklahoma story, obviously the follow-up from Caleb Williams and now Dillon Gabriel's at Oklahoma. There's also, as Craig said, in this premium section, I'm going to ask Colt if I can put it out there next segment about a player who's going to stay at Baylor. It's a big-time player returning. And all of that, and that's why you should try to subscribe to SicEm365.com in the premium section. Jackson players listed as 5 teams: Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, TCU, Arkansas, and Baylor. The former Midway High School star from Waco who played at Tulsa. This is SicEm 365 Radio. Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans. I was there earlier today, and Cheyenne and Ashley were there. And I asked them, I said, how was Christmas? They said it was fantastic. It's not just cigars. They have a bunch of them. Ashton, Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Padron, and oh, by the way, they have a 48-foot walk-in humidor that's loaded with them. It's like packed with cigars, and they've already been able to bring in more at the start of the year. Now, what else do they have? Coffee beans, fresh coffee beans. You can buy them fresh right then and there. They'll grind them for you as well if you want. One of the most popular aromas or flavors is Cowboy. Number 3, Vita Dreams. Vita Dreams is a little gummy. I use them. It allows you to go to sleep a little bit easier and maybe a little bit more peacefully than you normally do. I'm one where my mind is always just, it can't sometimes stop. Vita Dreams can allow you to save some sleep, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour and a half. Falling asleep when you actually lay down to go to bed rather than tossing and turning. And that, believe me, can make you feel better when you wake up the next morning. They also have all of what you need for cigars. They have the torch lighters, they have the cutters, and they have the humidors to put them in. Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center. Tell them Smokey sent you, just off Valley Mills in Waco.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Waco, our brands continue to win awards year after year. The 2021 Ram brand just received first place in the prestigious J.D. Power Initial Quality. The Dodge brand finished second to Ram, and the 2021 Jeep Gladiator is rated first among all midsize trucks. This month, you can get an early start to the new year with the Start Something New sales event, only at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends.
The year is wrapping up, sports bettors, but BetUS still has your NBA, NHL, college football bowls, UFC, PGA, and of course NFL betting lines up for their 27th year. Live betting on all of it. Log in to BetUS.com today. Use our promo codes SICK'em125 for 125% bonus on cash, or SICK'em200 if you use crypto. So use the 3-decade leader, BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'em125 and SICK'em200.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right. Last half hour of the show. Paul's Top 5 coming up around the corner. There's a picture of Armstrong. Where's that coming from?
Above our heads, right behind us.
A new one?
It's the Mevo, the camera we've used.
Okay.
Just in a different spot. Jack was tinkering when he got back.
Jack is a tinkerer. John McClain, Houston Chronicle, joins us. Sikkim 365 Radio, Sikkim 365 YouTube, 365 Sports. John, how about your Baylor Bears football team?
How about those fighting Baylor Bears? What a game. What an experience for you guys. You did a great job covering it, leading up to the Sugar Bowl, during the Sugar Bowl, after the Sugar Bowl. I was in my hotel room in Santa Clara, California, watching the game and keeping up with everything you guys were reporting on the website. And as a Baylor alum who's been attending games since 1960, I was so happy for them, proud of them. And now I saw a thing today on ESPN where they gave Dave Aranda the award for the best turnaround over Jim Harbaugh and some other coach, and is very well deserved.
John, to see, I know Baylor won the Sugar Bowl in 1957, but that's well before all of our times. But to see the team win a New Year's Six Bowl, what does that mean to you for the future of what could be with this program?
Well, first of all, you go back to the last Sugar Bowl they lost, go back to Fiesta Bowl they lost, and I think that's why this victory was important. People like Baylor. People respect the job they've done there when you consider the program was in shambles. And I hope Dave Aranda is like Scott Drew and he stays around forever because he had other opportunities. I know Oregon was interested. USC was interested. They assumed he'd want to come back to the West Coast. You got to figure if he wanted to go back to LSU, they would have hired him. And I'll say something right now. I started tweeting this. I don't know what Mack Rhodes makes, of course, but Mack Rhodes deserves a huge raise, just like Dave Aranda, because of the coaches he's hired and what he's done for the program. And I don't know his contract situation. You guys will know that better than me, but he deserves a huge raise.
John, do you think that he could expect, or his agent could expect, NFL teams to ever call? Do you think that'd be something that an NFL team would be interested in, Aranda's style?
I think right now that you don't have to worry about that because after what happened with Urban Meyer,
right.
I think people are a little reluctant to go the college route. And I don't know Aranda behind the scenes at all. Right. You know, he could be a raving lunatic in practice. You guys would know that. But I think his style, his demeanor, if you watch NFL coaches, most of them are very animated and demonstrative, but I think the players take after him. They don't panic. And I looked through the roster after the game and saw how many seniors they have, and they're going to send some guys to the NFL. Bernard and Petrie, I can't wait. Petrie's got to play safety. He can't play linebacker, and I hope the scouts like him as much as Baylor people. As far as I'm concerned, the way he didn't bail on Baylor like all those other recruits, they ought to build a statue to him out there next to RG3.
Yeah, he was the lone one. He stuck to it during a tumultuous time. By the way, on Dave Aranda, we've been saying this now, as you know, John, for weeks. He will get more, and his staff is going to get more. It will be something that is across the board what Baylor has already agreed to. It's just a matter of getting the ink on contracts. So that's coming. That's going to happen. And I've been even told that Dave Aranda didn't really care about whether he got too much more, that he wanted to make sure the money went to the assistants and then donors can possibly pay for a lot of the bonuses he might accumulate along the way.
Well, I'm assuming they would line up to give him the money, but I'll say this. If they had agreed on a deal before the Sugar Bowl, his agent needs to come back and say, let's see, maybe we need to rethink this.
Yeah.
Because what he was able to do there and all the attention he got from Baylor, I remember when the team started winning under Art Browse and how much friends of mine there who don't work in sports who said how much admissions and applications went up, and Baylor could elevate the price of tuition, books, and fees, and it didn't seem to matter. And when you win and you do it the right way and you've got good people, students want to go there. Their families want to send people there. I've had so many people down here I know, and in a couple in Nashville tell me their kids are going to Baylor, and one of them who is considering it, and I think there's a good chance, Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network, who's the best analyst on TV now. I think his Baylor is pursuing his son. I don't know if it's as a player, but he lives in San Diego. Baylor is cool right now, and I don't know how many times since I became a fan in 1960 I had heard Baylor and cool in the same sentence.
John, a lot of internet scuttlebutt about Jim Harbaugh and a potential NFL return. Do you think that would be in the offing this year?
When Jim Harbaugh was fired by the 49ers, people there were so sick of him and his ways. They didn't care that they got one and done Jim Tomsula, who was one of the worst head coaches ever, but they just wanted Harbaugh gone. I think he wears out his welcome everywhere, so I'd be very leery if I was an NFL team looking at Harbaugh. There's talk about Mark Davis. They say he and Mark Davis are friends, and so we'll see. I think he's right where he needs to be.
John, your thoughts on what happened with Antonio Brown on Sunday? We were flying back. And I had to go over to my sister's house to pick up some things, and her boyfriend was watching, and he was filming me, and I'd only seen the little thing on Twitter, and obviously have read up on it. Not sure where it stands now. Obviously, he's not a member of the Buccaneers anymore, but just your thoughts about another crazy chapter in Antonio Brown in the NFL.
I'm so tired of people making excuses for him. So tired of people giving him chances that he doesn't deserve. And it's not just because he's a bad guy. You know, he's done things off the field with women, and teams humiliate themselves like the Buccaneers. They deserve everything they get that's bad from having him there. Now, they'll say he helped us win a Super Bowl, so it's okay. And people talk about he has mental health problems. They don't talk about that when he's winning and not creating issues. They talk about it when he shows he's got a screw loose. There's players in the NFL that have gotten help. Calvin Ridley of the Falcons has been getting help all season. Lane Johnson, the Eagles, left and came back. And I just think Antonio is a bad guy, and he has been for a lot of teams. And if he gets another opportunity, it'll just be shocking.
You know it has to be bad when they lose Godwin. They're thin at wide receiver. Evans is just coming back from being injured, and some unknown guy catches a touchdown that helps win the game against the Jets. How bad it is that they don't even want him and they need him.
Well, what he did Sunday, and I don't know, nobody really does except him and Bruce Arians, and I trust Bruce Arians a lot more than Antonio Brown. And Arians basically, they haven't cut him yet. I don't know why they haven't cut him. Maybe the league thinks he has mental health issues and he needs help, and they don't want to look bad by cutting him. But I don't know what the problem is. He needs to be gone. He needs to be out of football and pick up the rest of his life. And, you know, I just am stunned that teams continue to give him opportunities.
John, the AFC playoff picture is kind of interesting this week in that if the Titans, who didn't have their best player for the back half of the season and look to get him back for the playoffs, they could wind up here with the number one overall seed.
All they got to do is beat the Texans. They got that motivation, plus the revenge factor for losing to the Texans in Nashville. They're going to clobber the Texans. The way it's set up, once you're designated to return from injured reserve, you've got 3 weeks to practice if you need all 3 weeks. If you don't, you can be activated anytime. He had the surgery. His last game was October 31st. So they say he's been working out like crazy, and then people are saying he might get a few carries against the Texans. He doesn't need it. He didn't play in preseason. That certainly didn't hurt him. Right now, Derrick Henry is the 6th leading rusher in the NFL. He has 10 touchdowns rushing. Only 5 players have more. That, to me, is the most amazing statistic of the NFL season. that a guy could be out that long and still rank where he does. And if he comes back healthy and they want to knock the rust off, give him the ball on the first series about 10 times. They're a legitimate Super Bowl contender with Derrick Henry back and with A.J. Brown healthy for the first time in a while. And their record would tie with the Chiefs, but they obliterated the Chiefs in October. That's why they had the head-to-head tiebreaker.
So I was looking around at various power rankings, just kind of seeing people's opinions on how the league's stacking up right now. And I think basically across the board, and just going off of NFL.com, you got the Packers, right? Makes sense. You got the Rams. That makes sense. Buccaneers, Chiefs. The Cincinnati Bengals, John, I mean, what are your thoughts on Joe Burrow and company lighting up scoreboards and doing what they're doing right now?
They got so lucky that Joe Burrow was there available when they had the worst record. And I think back the Texans have had the first pick in 2006 and 14. There was no quarterback worth it. Looking back, no quarterback was worth it. And I'm thinking, man, why couldn't it have been Andrew Luck or Joe Burrow? But their skill position players are as good as anybody. Mm-hmm. They got great balance between the run and the pass, and Burrow is a big-time player. Now, Marvin Lewis made the playoffs like 6 times and never won one game. So I'm not sure I trust them, even though it's a different era. They are the Bengals, and but they're fun to watch with those receivers, and they should be fun to watch for quite a while. The team I don't trust after Sunday is the Cowboys. I was stunned that they let the Cardinals come in there and beat them. And if you're a Cowboy fan, you got to be worried about that. I still think Dallas will win the first round and then probably lose on the road.
But that's what they do, John. I mean, you don't want to throw the universe out of balance. So,
speaking of balance, if you think about running game, passing game, receivers, and defense, there's not many teams that are better. We're talking about the Bengals balance. They don't have a defense like the Cowboys. And so that's why I was so stunned at what happened against the Cardinals. No team in the league needed a victory more than Arizona, considering how they had struggled. And they came in there and kicked their butt. And I'm sure Cardinal fans feel a lot better about them. And even though Cowboy fans will say they still have confidence in their team, that confidence should be a little shaky right now.
Yeah, I would think so. On the home, and Arizona had players out. Cowboys have been running 4 straight, healthy, as well as they could possibly be.
I saw this note, and I held it back, and I noticed that you commented on it as well, John. But former Oiler Bubba McDowell named the new head football coach at Prairie View A&M.
Bubba McDowell, who was from the University of Miami, came here in '88, one of my all-time favorites. He's been secondary coach, defensive coordinator, now head coach. And the thing Bubba McDowell always be known for, third quarter, wild card game in Buffalo after the 92 season, returning a Frank Reich interception for a touchdown to make it 35-3. And me and several other people from the Chronicle jumped up, went to the back of the press box, made our reservations for the next round at Pittsburgh, and they blew the biggest lead in NFL history that Bubba McDowell had given them, 35-3.
Yeah, I remember that. That's still hard to fathom, man. It really is. John, Happy New Year. Hope you had a great holiday break. I know that you're still having to work and cover the NFL and the Texans. And by the way, David Culley, don't you think he's done a pretty damn good job?
I do, and he should not be fired. There's talk that he could be a one and done. And if, I tell people, it's not his fault. He's been given talent that's 32nd in offense, 32nd against the run, 32nd in rushing. That's the personnel department led by Nick Caserio. If he were to get fired next week, I would write the most negative stuff I've ever written about anybody about the Texans. By the way, now we can turn our attention to basketball, and good luck to the Bears against the Sooners, and sick 'em.
Thank you very much, John McClain, Hall of Fame writer, with us on Sick'em 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Yeah, and I actually have a couple things here that before we go to break and then get to Paul's top 5. For one, Pete Thamel has spoken to Caleb Williams' father, Carl Williams, says that there's no decision on anything with Caleb's future, or that no decision is imminent, and the family plans to take their time with the decision. The family is on vacation this week, chuckling at all the rumors. So for anybody looking for some, hot thing to break with Caleb Williams, it doesn't sound like that's going to happen right now or in the foreseeable near future. But obviously, it's going to have to happen sooner rather than later. But that was just an
everything on
update.
social media is true.
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, absolutely, of course. And I also went back and I finally did get to see the bowl game ratings for the New Year's Six. The Peach Bowl, Michigan State and Pittsburgh, 7.6 million viewers. That was the lowest of the 6 New Year's 6 games. 8 million for Oklahoma State and Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. The Sugar Bowl, Baylor Ole Miss, 9.8 million tuned in for that one. And those are the only three. Those were three under 10 million. But you also had the playoff games that I outlined, the 16.6 for Cincy Bama, 17.2 in the orange for Georgia. Michigan was the top number. But the Rose, Utah and Ohio State also drew a 16.6, the same number as Cincy Bama.
That's why they have a parade.
Yeah, that's why they have a parade. Yeah, absolutely. And there was
a hell of a game, too.
Oh, it was. I just wish Cam Rising would have gotten hurt, kind of like Matt Corral in the Sugar Bowl. But one other thing that I wanted to bring up and off the radar, but I had gone so long already. Whether we have time here for you both to give a hot sports opinion or save it, but the whole Ken Rosenthal versus the MLB thing.
Good for Ken. Look, he's got other gigs, and it's his job as a journalist to write things, and I think he said what he felt, and look, he knew. I don't think he was worried about future employment. He's one of the best baseball writers there is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
what happened? I don't even know.
Oh, Ken Rosenthal got fired from MLB Network because whenever Rob Manfred does anything, Ken Rosenthal roasts his ass.
Yep.
And look, Ken Rosenthal knows that Rob Manfred is the boss of MLB Network because he's commissioner. So look, and nothing that Ken Rosenthal has said about Rob Manfred, I think, was out of bounds. It's not like he said anything that wasn't true. He just criticized him as the leader of the league. And look, he's with The Athletic. He's with Fox Sports. Maybe Manfred tries to push that with Fox Sports a little bit, but I don't think so. And yeah, he's not going to work for the.
Is it like that guy that was a UFC writer, Wally or whatever his name is?
Wally, Ariel Helwani.
Yeah. He was.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, except for Dana White, kind of had like a personal chip on his shoulder with Ariel Helwani, and that's still very weird. And I don't know if I quite believe everything Ariel said about it at this point, but I do believe quite a bit of it. But. That became too much about a guy who's just reporting, and I stopped caring after a while. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like enough of this already. I guess as far as a reporter versus an entity, sure, but this is Ken Rosenthal basically calling out a terrible commissioner in Rob Manfred. He's absolutely awful. I mean, I've never been less interested in baseball than I am right now. And that's not just because the Rangers are average, even though they had a nice offseason. But basically, he was writing columns all last year. It led to a suspension that nobody, I guess, really knew too much about. And then it kept getting extended, and COVID played into it and all that. And now he's just straight out of there. And it's all due to him writing about Rob Manfred, MLB commissioner.
Okay, well, all that does is make even Manfred look more of an idiot. Yep. All right, when we come back, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports, we'll have Paul's top 5.
American Bank has been serving Waco since 1952, and we're just getting started. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Over the past few years, we've been busy investing in new technology to give you the best banking experience possible. We've also expanded our downtown branch and built 2 state-of-the-art buildings at our Woodway and Bellmead locations. With bright open lobbies plus fast, personal, interactive teller machines, everyone in Waco is now just minutes away from face-to-face banking. Visit us today and see how we're invested in serving you at American Bank. Member FDIC.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brad, what makes you different than anyone else, in your opinion, as far as what Boozer's does?
The fact that I own the jewelry store, anything I need to do, will do, or can do, I can do it. The buck stops with me, whereas a lot of places you have to go up the corporate command and corporate channel. Well, if you come in and want to make a deal, we sit there and we make the deal.
And you can find whatever someone's looking for, correct?
Anything is obtainable. I don't care what brand it is, what size it is, how much it costs, large or small. Anything is obtainable, and we can definitely get that in for you to see, look at, or buy.
Do you have the opportunity if people have to pay things off as far as a layaway program? What about what you have with financing?
Absolutely. We have 12-month no interest financing. We have layaway. If you want to pay with Bitcoin, I can take Bitcoin now. So if there's any way you want to pay for it, we can find a way out to make it work.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy old world pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Top 5 scenarios for Caleb Williams. And a couple of these are kind of dark horses.
You check with his father?
Yeah, I didn't. I'm just throwing out what... If he's going to... And we talked about this yesterday when the story broke. A better situation than Oklahoma, there's not that many of them out there. Especially to go like... You know, if Alabama didn't have a quarterback coming back next year, or Ohio State, like this would make this top 5 a little easier to wiggle through. But considering both those guys are Heisman candidates and coming back, if you're Caleb Williams, I know you're confident, but you're not going to go there. They don't need you, and they're not going to call. But you know, there's other situations, but it just to be better than Oklahoma it's just tough to figure out. So a couple of these are kind of wild guesses here, or just based on being up-and-comers or where they are right now, and then some of them are legit. All right, number 5, Texas A&M. This is the one that would be the most wild outside of it, but they've got a lot of young talent. They're certainly building towards something. Caleb Williams should help put them over the top, but I don't know if what they've lost this year compared to what they've got coming in as freshmen kind of offsets each other and makes Caleb Williams really want to go there, but they're certainly a team that appears to be on the rise. But it doesn't make sense why you would go from Oklahoma to there to me, other than the fact that you would really like
this is
Jimbo
all
or
about
something.
you being raised an Aggie.
No, because I get why you would say that, but I'm just trying to look at who's got a quarterback that's potentially opening that would fit, and A&M is one of those.
Okay.
I mean,
it would make sense. I mean, honestly, it would. What are we getting excited about? Haynes King?
Yeah.
I mean, like they've got good quarterbacks, on paper, but nobody that's proven anything at this point. So he'd be better, on paper than anybody they've had or have currently. So, I mean, I wouldn't put it past the Aggies to put a sales pitch together. They're as involved in NIL as anybody else is, So I could definitely see them. And then Jimbo's, the quarterback whisperer and all that jazz. So, I wouldn't think that they're probably like the most likely, but I would not be surprised at all if they got involved.
Yeah. Number 4 would be Michigan. Look, I know that they've got a kid whose name I forget. He wears number 9, McCarthy. That is there for next year to take over for Cade McNamara. But you're telling me that you're going to tell Caleb Williams no to go to Michigan, and that's a team that was just in the CFP.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be better than who they have, but I don't know. The whole Harbaugh and the NFL rumors thing, again, is just so stupid. That seems like to be a yearly thing now at this point. And I don't know, man. I've not been impressed with their quarterback play, and I just feel like if you're Caleb Williams, I don't know that Jim Harbaugh is the guy that's really going to best explore your style of play. I think you are more of a Lincoln Riley type of cat, more of a Jeff Lebby, more of a, that kind of deal than as opposed to a Michigan offense. But yeah, they could definitely use him. There's no doubt.
Yeah. And if they're not in the CFP, I probably wouldn't even put them in this top 5.
Fair enough.
But they were. Number 3, return to Oklahoma, which seems less likely now that Dillon Gabriel is there, which is why I didn't put this as number 1. I think, he should have probably returned to Oklahoma. I get one to go and test the waters, but I think that, to me, is the right now at this point the 3rd most likely scenario. But Dillon Gabriel's there, and that might push this completely off the board.
Yeah, I don't think he's scared of Dillon Gabriel.
But no, I think Dillon Gabriel going there makes me think that they don't think that,
It seems like a sign. I mean, if anything, it's just security. But, it definitely seems like a bit of a sign. But, yeah, I think he would do well in a Jeff Lebby run offense. I think he'd throw for a lot of yards and run for a lot of yards and probably light up some scoreboards. The one thing I would say is I don't know. I guess Matt Corral will now approve of how proven that style is. But outside of that, there's been a lack of NFL prove it with quarterbacks in that system. So maybe that's something that detractors could use against them. But yeah, I'm sure if they don't know already, Oklahoma's going to do everything in their power to try to keep him. I think it's very low odds. Just my hunch, that's all. But yeah, I would love to see him return in crimson and cream.
I think if he was going to return this, we wouldn't be talking about this. I mean, and then Dillon Gabriel just makes me lean that much more in the other direction. Number 2 would be Georgia. Why not? I mean, I know they've got the Vandegrift kid there, right? And that's probably going to be the guy next year. But again, proven commodity over what you haven't seen yet.
Near home. From D.C., right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, kind of. Yeah, Washington, D.C. and Georgia is not that close.
Closer than anywhere else
closer than USC is from Washington, D.C.
Well, it's not Yokohama College. I mean, it is on the East Coast, but I don't know where he's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, this one seems like it's just like, why the hell not? So, okay. Yeah, I mean, based on that, why the hell not? Yeah, I could see Georgia. It's only a 9.5-hour drive from Georgia to Washington, D.C. But,
a lot closer than Norman.
Yeah, no, it is. But, I mean, they're a top team. They'll attract, if they're looking and scouring the market for a quarterback, I'm sure it won't be hard to land one. But, sure, he would definitely, be a great get for Georgia.
And number 1, and look, let's face it, this is where he's going. He's going to play for Lincoln Riley, who he would have walked down to play for. And then the next thing is Jackson Dart's going to go in the transfer portal. But he's going to USC. That's where he's going. That's where I think he's going. I think that's where the world thinks he's going. But USC makes the most sense for him. If Lincoln Riley got nobody else that was coming to see him, that he had crossed paths with before.
He could be there next season, and then 1 year under Malachi Nelson can marinate underneath him, and then be ready by the time Caleb Williams turns pro, unless he transfers again.
Yeah. So
USC seems like the place. I mean, it does. It seems like the place, and I know they've got Jackson Dart or whatever, and they've got probably other guys they could look at. But I mean, he knows the offense. We know what little he already showed, and they were just scratching the surface of what he could actually do. So that seems to me, LA, NIL. USC seems like they're opening up the wallet to go big over the next few years. Obviously, they did that with the Lincoln Riley move. So a lot of coaches he would just be rejoining, and wouldn't blame him. I mean, if that's where he ends up, it makes a lot of sense, and that's where I would put my money right now. Would be on the Trojans for Caleb Williams.
All right, thank you very much, Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie. What?
I got to mention one thing ahead of this LSU bowl game. I have to mention this. This is like crazy stuff, but Bruce Feldman just put out. I was talking about the roster for LSU going into tonight's game, and I was talking about they have like 50 scholarship players. It's from Bruce Feldman 10 minutes ago. In addition to LSU being down to 38 scholarship players tonight, 38 scholarship players, the Tigers will also have mostly analysts as position coaches. That will include at offensive line, running back, wide receiver, linebacker, cornerback, and tight end. And there will also be a GA involved. So just like talk about a shell of themselves. That will be LSU tonight with 38 scholarship players and GAs and analysts running a lot of the position coaching.
Well, Baylor's last game a year ago against Oklahoma State, and they got embarrassed in that game. They had like half of their staff was COVID and couldn't be a part of it, and they had a guy, Juice Johnson, was running the offense or whatever. It happens. It's unfortunate. It just seems like it's reared its head again, and we'll see what happens. Again, the Baylor women's game with TCU tomorrow night has been postponed because of a COVID issue with the Baylor women's basketball team. Paul, good stuff as always. Craig Smoak, always great stuff from everybody. Armstrong, Sims, Jack McKenzie, and thank you, all of you on the chat room that went on fire today. Text line, phone calls, and yes, the logo's behind us, but so many more sponsors of Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. I'm David Smoak. Good night.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.